They asked me why the singer's name was Alice. It's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington right off the bat. All good things to Kevin Smith, who they said had a massive heart attack last night, but the doctors were able to come in and put a stent in, and normally that's all good news after that.
Yeah, I think he went on Instagram.
Immediately.
Yeah, right away, and did say that he had, that 100% blockage in the Widowmaker thing, and that's always a rough one. But he looks good.
Yeah. If it doesn't kill you, you're okay. That's how heart attacks work. If it doesn't kill you immediately, you're okay.
Yeah.
But he was doing a stand-up special. He was shooting a stand-up special, had done the first taping, and in between, fell ill.
Holy shit, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's why I deliver the news. Also, Vito picked Marissa as the big winner. Isn't that right? Wasn't that your pick?
Yeah.
All right, way to go. Ross was shocked.
Oh, my God. All right.
So she played the game with integrity and honesty, and that's all we want in this game.
This is at least the, third season in a row. I think we can all just admit that game is broken. It doesn't
Let's not
work.
watch it again.
I mean, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The game stinks.
Meta didn't understand the game, but he's the only one who was like, I liked Ross because he didn't care and he had no morals and he just went in there and did it.
And yet he picked by just reaching into the envelope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't give Meta a lot of faith for understanding the game or getting what you're supposed to do.
He had to be reminded 5 times how to pick the winner.
And then what
show.
did he do? He still shat upon it.
Yes.
As he did the NBA for so many years. So that's it. We're done with it.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll never watch again.
I'm
Let's
never
all
watching
agree.
Celebrity Big Brother, but
No,
I gotta...
forget Celebrity. I mean, we were just as mad with the last 2 polls. We were just as mad.
It was so shitty.
The same exact thing. The people don't like the game as much as we do. We're done with them.
Yeah. And I guess that it must be more personal than we can really understand, that when somebody feels like they are screwed out of money, how vengeful, and they lose sight of the whole concept.
Yes. I've tried to steal second before, been picked off, been pissed, but did not think that I should try to take the out away from the other team.
It's also a very bizarre thing to say. I've been eliminated. I'm sitting here, and if it wasn't for this one person who played the game, I would have went the whole way. Like, you're sitting there with a bunch of other people who got, who don't have a chance of winning that money. What is it about you that you're like, yeah, but mine was personal because I really wanted that money?
Maybe the fact is, and I'll call CBS with this after the show today, it can't be them voting. Maybe we have to have some kind of team of judges.
That's what I think. That there's
we can't trust the players.
You cannot. The players are taking it too personally. You'll never get somebody honest.
It's like when you play basketball and you let each other call fouls. It's just like, that wasn't a foul, dude. I just fucking stole the ball from you. That's all that happened there. Good. Trump is on TV right now, and he just claimed, this is the thing that's up there, because he was talking about the deputy that did not move. The good guy with a gun didn't move. And Trump, this is the quote that's up, I'd have run into the Florida school even without a weapon. I wish you could be everywhere.
He's a hero.
You know where you didn't run into? Vietnam, when you were fucking, 19 years old or whatever healthy age you were.
He had those bone spurs, though.
Yeah. The disappearing bone spurs. But he wants to, luckily, give guns to all the teachers. And I just wish he had walked into my school and saw those teachers and thought, which one needs a gun? I remember one of the shop teachers about a year later was in jail the same time a friend of mine was. And he was completely naked, screaming the N-bomb.
Oh, God.
When my friend saw him. And then he sees my friend and starts to yell his name out. He's like, my buddy is like, this is the last fucking dude I want to hook up with in here.
And a teacher like that is going to be the first one to be like, I'd like to volunteer to get the gun, please.
Absolutely.
It's always going to be those people. I mean, in 3rd grade, I had a teacher charge a 3rd grade girl and hold his fist up to her face. And to be honest, she was a bad kid. She was
she had
really
it
bad.
coming.
And we all laughed because she made fun of him. But he snapped. And this is a 3rd grade girl, not a 16-year-old boy. So you could really imagine.
When I was in 9th grade, my algebra teacher, who was also the junior high school football coach, right? He's walking around and he sees this kid just digging into the desk with a pen knife or something, saying, writing something.
Something cool.
And why he just went over and fucking shoved the kid's face right down at the desk and knocked out his front teeth.
Oh, God.
And that was the end of him. We never saw him again.
Is that the teacher who said people tried to protest to get not fired?
No, that was a different one. That was another shop teacher who, since our tools weren't working, we didn't have a fucking bandsaw or something. He fucking just puts tape over the window of the door and brings in boxing gloves and lets us box each other. And then he knocked one of the kids out. He knocked out a fucking 8th grader. And then, but he also used to go around like the lunchroom and he would have a rubber mallet and he'd bang you on the fucking top of the head with it if you were fucking around.
These people can't have guns.
He could have. I think he would have been good with a gun. I'll tell you this, no matter what they want, I'm not giving back any of my AR-15s. I'm not letting them come for my guns. I got 143 of them.
What? Why do you need so many?
In case the government starts any shit. I'll be fucking prepared. Or zombie attack. I'll be prepared if there's a zombie attack. So, nothing. I know you're feeling like things are going to change because they got those kids on TV. I still believe nothing changes. Other than the fact, now he just said this. You need to fight the NRA every once in a while.
Really?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you will have to admit that at least the conversation has gone on many days longer than it usually does.
Oh, yeah, this is a record. There's no doubt about it. This is a fucking record.
So I'd like for it to still be a conversation.
Good. It'll be a one-sided conversation. I'll tell you this. Trump would have run into that school even without a weapon.
What would he do? Punch?
Yeah, he'd have punched the fuck out of everybody. Sir, do you have a pass to be in here? They probably would have thought, hey, a grown man running around the halls they never saw before.
Well, he has that pussy grab move that seems to work for him pretty well.
Oh, jeez. Lewis wants to disagree with us. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. We don't mind. Lewis, what's the disagreement about?
Hey, what's up, guys? Like I told you guys before, me personally, I don't have a problem with the bitter jury. Like, I feel like even when you're in the jury house, the game is still going. So I believe you can backstab when you're in the jury. And I feel, it's I blame the players. If you feel that you've been like a villain and you screwed everybody over in the game, try to have somebody up there with you that also screwed everyone over.
But then the thing is, it's always going to be the person who just followed along, the person who did all the work.
Marissa did nothing but benefit by this guy.
Right.
And no one had any bad feelings about her. And her
Rudy,
massive breasts.
I was Team Rudy all the way. So when she got the chance to screw Ross over a little bit, I was happy because if you watched in the beginning, you saw that he was pretty much under the radar. Like nobody was considering him for anything. And all of a sudden he got like all high and mighty because he felt like he was being ignored in the meeting. And that's when he went all freaking crazy and started doing all those crazy plays. So I never liked the guy.
I'm going to say,
you don't have to like him, but out of the two of them, he played a better game.
But I also,
yeah, that's true.
I also disagree because I feel like it drove me nuts that Rudy gets a vote when she self-evicts. Like, you didn't want to play this game. You didn't want to be a part
Her
of
and
it.
Meta shouldn't have got a vote. They couldn't have done that. Not in this day and age. We've come way too long
Look,
not to let those two.
coincidence.
And I don't feel that Meta like Ross. I think Meta's a genius. I think what he did was he basically like dissed Ross. Without he basically dissed Ross like in a friendly way. Like nobody really understood what he was saying, but he basically said Ross had no integrity. That was like his overall thing.
Meta is like the world's tallest baby. You know what I mean? He's just
No.
so gentle and sweet, and everyone likes him. But you know that sooner or later, someone's going to get hurt somewhere. You
Even
know?
when he
doesn't
was-
get to eat enough.
Even when he was wanting to go home to his wife, the way he was saying it was like when somebody says, "I want to go home to my mom." It was
Yeah.
like
Give
more
her
on
little
that.
kisses.
Part.
It's like Vito when he does it work too long.
It would have been great if he got the baby penalty. That would have been great to watch.
Yeah, that would have been fucking phenomenal.
No one
would
would have
made the most
noticed.
sense in the world.
It would have been no difference.
All right, peace, buddy.
All right, man.
Eric, what's up?
Hey, Ron. You know those school shootings? If you go to YouTube and put in micro drones killer arms robot, you'll see these things. They're about the size. This should scare the shit out of you.
I'm already
They're the size
scared.
of these finger spinners, and the guy's doing a thing, and he goes, "It has 3 micrograms or something," and it slams against your head and has a micro charge and blows your brain out, and it just sounds like a cap. And at 1:40, if you watch that, you'll never want to go in a parking garage. They send a swarm after them.
Oh
Just check that out, and I'll let you comment on it, and I'll hang up.
All right, buddy.
This would end the school shooting, too, by the way. You send these bad boys in, principal pushes a button, anyone with a gun, off they go. And watch, the guy tries to grab it. They're so artificially intelligent, they can get out of his grasp.
Let me
I'll
just
let you
say
go,
this.
but-
Is this fake? We're not at this point now.
Oh, we are. I do it for a living. I do data science.
This is actually
probably-
available now, and this is not a
it's
fake
controlled
TED Talk.
test. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But it's close, man. And just watch the movie for the first minute.
I'm watching it right now with the sound down, and I can only say this. I don't want any fucking part of the future. The
Yeah.
future can fucking kiss my ass.
This is scary. And this guy just looked in the evil genius, evil rich
Why
genius
is Nikki
character.
Glazer walking all over town? She doesn't have an office yet?
I don't believe so.
Aw. I saw her over the weekend. She's like, why didn't any of your guys tell me when that thing went so I could tweet it? I go, my guys don't give a fuck about marketing me.
Oh,
That's my
no.
thing. I go, my guys like to keep me the best kept fucking secret, Sirius XM.
It's not good.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't fucking throw a blanket over us. Johnny, what's up, pal?
Hey, somebody's got to tell that guy to stop watching fake videos and telling people they're real. That's 100% fake video.
Yeah, I mean, everything about it. The guy looks like an evil fucking genius in a sci-fi
he
movie.
does.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Any normal person would be able to.
Well, that guy works in data processing, so he's going to fucking know what it is. Is that what his job was?
Yeah.
Data processing?
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to know these evil fidget spinners are not real. Flying fidget spinners that kill.
Was that our people?
Yes.
Got all kinds of shit happening around here today. It's a madhouse. Yeah, I guess Nikki did her first show today for Comedy Central.
Yes.
Nice.
How was it?
It was great.
You heard it?
I heard parts of it.
You're just lying. All right, go.
I'm a liar, yes.
Why?
Where'd you go? Upstate, the wine country?
No.
What did you do over the weekend?
Just watched movies.
Oh, you went to the movies or watched it at home?
Went to one movie, then watched a couple of screeners.
What screeners?
I watched Shape of Water and Lady Bird.
Are you stealing stuff?
It's technically stolen, I would think, yeah. I guess you could, if someone asked, I didn't pay
Screener.
for this, no.
As though they're given to him.
I know.
I'm
It's
trust
not a
part of-
screener.
Part of no guild.
They were someone's screener, maybe.
What movie did you go see?
Then I went to go see Black Panther.
Oh, my God.
I know.
I also went to see.
Oh,
Black
my God.
Panther.
Were you too worried that this wasn't going to make enough money? Let me see if I can get a full house. Vito?
I saw Black Panther.
Of course you did.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, I was talked into it, but yes.
Yeah. It looks like Steve needs to talk to us. Somebody want to go talk to him?
Jen's going right now.
Oh, boy. That'll really be confusing for Alex. So, Chris,
Yes.
on a scale of 1 to 100, what do you give Black Panther?
A big 0.
Racist.
Not a racist.
Sounds racist.
I'm not a racist.
Dude, people are going crazy over this movie.
I know that.
Vito, 0 to 100, what do you give it?
90.
Really? You liked it a
I
lot?
liked it a lot. There was a few things that I could have done without, but for the most part, it was better than most superhero movies that have come out in
Yeah,
the
that's
past few
nothing
years.
to brag about.
No, it wasn't.
But like Michael B. Jordan just steals the whole movie. I mean, he's a fucking star.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to say to that.
He was very good in it. I agree.
What does
but
he do?
He's the villain.
Oh.
He is the villain of the.
So the villain doesn't steal the movie. He, is half of the movie.
He's happy.
I mean, yeah, but he's in the movie. I'd say he's in the movie more than the hero.
Yeah, so that's not stealing the movie. That's them building a movie around him. Stealing the movie is somebody who comes on, does 2 scenes, and everyone's still thinking about him an hour later. One of the stars doesn't steal the movie. Now, what is he? What kind of a villain is he?
He is like kind of a troubled villain with a sad past who I think it's like one of those situations where you're trying to make it like not all pure evil.
What's
he
his
has
power?
some good ideas. Well, the Black Panther power is kind of confusing because it comes from like their heritage, but then there's also like a drink that they take to make them stronger. But he also is
Cavassier?
is like a trained military guy. So he also has like fighting skills that are all him.
Okay.
So
And
he's
what
well
was the
trained.
villain's? What was his powers?
Same. That's who
Oh,
I was
both-
talking about.
oh.
Michael B. Jordan's powers were like that, and then the other guy was just more like it was his heritage / he becomes the Black Panther.
Is he an actual panther? Does he turn into a panther?
No, he has like a panther suit,
Okay.
like a sexy panther suit.
Michael B. Jordan.
Does it have paws?
Yes.
Yeah, he has claws on it. There was one scene where he goes, "I found claws on the body." And Michael B. Jordan's last name is Killmonger. And the reason is
That was
because
his
he killed a
nickname.
lot of people.
Yeah. And he mongled it.
But yeah, when I saw it, I immediately, people were talking about it after and wanted to know what I thought. And it is not my genre.
Mhm.
So therefore, it's hard for me to make a comment on is this a great movie or not, because I
Is
really
it a
don't.
children's movie?
To me, it's for kids. And that is why I would never give it a 0, because I kept watching it thinking, I'm watching it in a movie theater full of black kids who are so thrilled. Like their faces are so excited. You should see there's like articles of like kids watching this movie.
Yeah, we showed it when they were dancing and stuff.
It's the
But
sweetest
there were
thing.
a bunch of kids when you were there?
Yes.
And they were going crazy?
They were going crazy, and it's incredibly sweet. It's almost an entirely black cast, like minus 2 actors, a black director, you've got a black superhero, you've got a black villain. It's pretty significant, and for that, I understand.
Oh, believe me, I identified because when I was a kid, I saw Batman, and I'm like, finally, something for us.
Everything's for you.
People. Yeah, but I do want more stuff all the time.
But the problem for me is that I immediately tune out as soon as I see 2 people fighting midair, and then one of the people lands on a moving vehicle, and then there's an explosion.
sounds
and then
exciting.
And when I started to complain about it, I was seeing it with people who were like, "But that was the best part of the movie," and I went, "Oh, see, that's why." It's hard for me.
Why
to
do you
make a
hang out with
decision.
them? It's time to get some grown-up
I
friends.
really like the costume.
Why are
design
you so
and the art
being mean
design.
to it then,
Because
Chris?
it's just like
It's
a
for
paint
kids.
by the numbers, another Marvel movie. I just really didn't like
But
it.
it truly isn't a paint by the numbers Marvel movie, because you're talking about a subject matter that hasn't been taken on. You're talking about a cast that you've never seen before. For that reason, it's not.
I'm going to tell you the truth. When I saw the Wonder Woman that everybody bragged about last year, and I didn't see it till it came on TV, I'm like, paint by the numbers. You know what I mean? I don't know. How many fucking superheroes are there? Is there any fucking humans left?
No.
But here's the thing, Chris. Do you like superhero movies, or are you like me and you don't like them?
I watched them.
You like them. There's ones that like.
What's your
a good
favorite
one?
superhero?
I guess Iron Man 1 would be the
See, like, and I
the
don't
good
like
one.
that. So that's like you might have had more expectations for it to be a great
I like
superhero.
Iron Man until he puts on the suit. You know
right?
what I mean?
You like the Tony Stark character.
No, I like Robert Downey Jr. character. He played the same things he did in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Right.
He's a
like
smart
cool-
ass, that guy.
Cool. He's a little sassy.
He's sassy, he's rich, he's got fucking hot chicks,
But also in Black Panther, like all right, so it's a fictional country called Wakanda, and they're like technologically advanced, more advanced than every other place in Africa, and they don't share their technology with anyone, so they're just screwing over the rest of the continent.
Yes, but what you're angry about is literally the whole
It's made
point
up.
of the movie.
the
Like
plot.
you're literally getting angry. Like that's you're supposed to get angry about that. This is the plot of the film.
That's what the villain's mad about.
It's not like they didn't mention that. It's like all they talk about in the movie is the villain is upset because it's like, how could you be a secret African country with all these like advancements and all these powers and all this stuff, and you allowed the slave trade to happen and you never swooped in. So there's like this idea of you need to take care of the world if you have the ability.
All right, I'm starting to agree with Michael B. Jordan.
See, yeah, and that's why it's kind of like, you know, the villain has a point.
Let me ask you something. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same Michael B. Jordan that played for the Chicago Bulls?
I think it is. I mean, he's
seriously, because I have his sneakers at home. All right. And what else did you steal, Chris?
I stole Shape of Water. And I stole Lady Bird.
I mean, I think I've already figured out Shape of Water. Droplet?
Pretty much. It's,
that's the shape.
Yeah.
There's some love there, too.
It depends on the vessel?
Like sometimes it's glass shaped. Sometimes it's bathtub shaped. You really don't know.
It shows up in the movie, a bathtub. With a merman.
That guy's the leading... odds to win Best Director.
That's shocking. Guillermo del Toro sucks.
You don't like him?
No, not anymore. Not after this movie. I don't understand why this movie is getting all the love it's getting, or that was even nominated for Best Picture.
Is it very pretty? Is that why?
It's like highly stylized. He's done Pan's Labyrinth.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
He did the Hellboy movies.
Yeah,
and I think he did a giant robot movie.
Okay. Don't like him.
I only saw Pan's Labyrinth. I'm not a huge fan.
Not a big fan.
I did like that spooky guy with the eyes.
Yeah, for 1 second. Sure.
It's really in it.
Man, Trump is on the move. He says he's taking on the NRA, and they already agree. Even though they said they would never back any ban. We'll turn our grief into action. Don't worry about the NRA. They're on our side.
Are they on our side or we're going to fight them? I'm confused.
I don't know. It's all good.
He seems like he has a handle on it.
He seems like he's up for this one.
Yeah.
He's coming for your guns, folks. He's coming for your guns. Donald Trump. Face turn. He turned on Paul Bearer. Place went wild. He again wants to arm teachers. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, he should probably stop bringing that one up.
I'm putting bump stocks into the machine gun category.
Okay, I'm not sure what category they're in. I only know.
I think
about
accessory. They're just an accessory. That's why they can't ban them now.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think the NRA would easily give up the bump stocks because, like I said, they're not a gun. They're not protected. Improve our early warning response system, harden our schools against attack by arming teachers. That one will never happen, I don't think. I don't think we'll ever come to a day.
No, I don't.
I mean, the Florida governor already just said we're not arming teachers, man. This is Florida. Fucking humidity gets to anybody.
I saw so many things where, teachers were being interviewed this weekend and they were very upset about it. But I just wanted to be like, oh, don't get upset. It's not gonna happen. You don't have to worry about being
homeschooling will become the biggest thing that ever happened if they start giving public school teachers guns.
Yeah, of course.
And you already called it. They'll just give it to the gym teacher. And the gym is so far on the other side of the school. But imagine if you armed a teacher, right? And there was a shooter, the teacher shooting, and the teacher hits a couple kids. You know what I mean?
What are you just going to call that collateral damage?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It would set up lawsuits like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Or how many times are we going to think like a false alarm or something happens where they think that a kid is armed, but they're just fighting with another kid?
This is the other thing. Dozens of red flags. What is the red flag even supposed to mean? Are you allowed because someone's a nut or an asshole that you can come in? What constitutes? You know what I mean? What constitutes that?
I don't really know. I know that there were people who said he made threats or had certain types of either YouTube videos or different things that he had uploaded or said that made him seem dangerous.
You ever go on anyone's Instagram and they got their guns and they're shooting stuff? Is that the fucking danger sign? Is the danger sign the thing that I said earlier that you're like, I'm stocking up because if the government tries anything, I'm going to be able to take them out? I mean, doesn't that make you kind of Waco or ISIS? At what point? We don't even have a point where we say, yeah, this is the wrong behavior. It would be most fucking people that you see online.
And people tend to say pretty emotional.
Plus, by the way, this guy didn't have a bump stock, so I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't know what the. He's saying they're essentially gone. That's an easy one.
I love when he says something that's kind of like a strange pat on the back. Like, I think it just popped up there that he said there's no bigger fan of the Second Amendment. Like, I love when he says that.
He's
like,
always
there's like,
the best
no
at
one's
something.
less racist than me.
Right.
I love guns more than anyone. And you're like, you don't love guns more than, there are people who really like guns.
He's always first. He's always first.
You're not going to find anyone who likes guns more than me.
Okay.
Do you shoot guns? No, but I love them.
I love the hell out of them.
I think they're great. I like what they're doing. More and more people are talking about them.
Nobody likes Black Panther more than I do.
What about the young black children? Nope. I'm the number one fan.
Oh, wait, why on one channel do we got Melania and on the other channel some dude I never saw before? And then on the third channel, there's a guy with a dog.
I don't know what the dog is. But for some reason, they always... You ever notice they split at the same moment? Like, do they just watch each other?
Well, no, they're like, Trump is done. Boom, we're out. The second something like that happens, they're like, I don't know. I don't want to do this anymore. Hey, Alan in Sacramento.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Gail.
Hey.
Okay, so here's the deal. When you buy a weapon new with the Federal Firearms Form 4473, it asks you to self-report if you are a cannabis user, a heroin addict, or other drugs addict, if you have mental illness that requires medication, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's a little box right next to each one of those categories that says yes, no, yes, no. And so you are being asked to self-report, to tell on yourself that, yes, I smoke a lot of weed, and so therefore, when you check that box yes, it's an automatic disqualification.
All right, so that should work. You know what I mean?
So there's no checkup on it. So the red flag that we're talking about is a way for a judge to put a tag, a red flag on your name for a temporary basis so that you have that legal adjudication of being mentally ill. Unless you go in on some sort of criminal charge where, you're being crazy out in the street and you get a criminal charge on you and you get hauled in front of a judge, nobody is ever going to check your medical records. We have a thing in this country called HIPAA laws, which disallow anybody from looking at your medical records and saying, hey, wait a second, this guy's crazy as a loon. He should never have a gun. This was the section that President Obama signed back when he was in office that linked the Social Security disability payments to people with mental issues, specifically to that federal firearms list.
So you got to go that far with it. You've got to be where you're on the absolute record of doing something.
Right.
Yeah, because, in my opinion, what constitutes crazy? There's plenty that I would call crazy. I mean, quite frankly, I think Vito's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of crazy people.
Yeah. Crazy like a fox, right?
Crazy
Randy
sexy.
in Phillit. Randy.
Yo, what's going on?
Hey, man.
I think what we got to do is let these cops fucking deal with the real problems and have them to stop fucking around with heroin and crystal meth, quit pestering us with that shit, man, and just focus on the bad guys, man.
Well, I'm just watching Melania's thing was better social media habits. We've got to push for that. Which, don't say it, do it, Melania. Push for that. And then the other thing is the opioid crisis. The opioid crisis.
Yes.
Time we did something about that.
Up on the iBang, there's a map of the states that are kind of addressing the opioid crisis versus the states that, because it's pretty much across the board. Like every state is being affected by this, but the amount of states that are offering better treatment versus the states that are just doing a really, really bad job at it. Which is like, you look at like the Northeast, and it looks like for the most part, they're trying to make some attempts to make sure people can get some help and get some programs out there. But then I like that just like New Hampshire's like, not us. We're doing our own thing. All right.
Well, it's, even if you have the best possible program, it's very, very hard to get people off opioids. Last week's Crashing with Artie was about that. And Artie was fucking amazing on that show of, at a certain point, he just fucking turns on him and says, fuck you, man. I'm going to do what I got to do. Fucking, it hurts. I'm fucking physically hurting. And I'm like, that's one of the most blunt things that I've ever seen on television. All right. We got some guests coming in, Chris.
Yes. Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone, the Zombies.
Now, the Zombies, one of the greatest groups of all time. She's Not There. Time of the Season, the list goes on and on and on. Part of that English invasion. And those guys are going to be performing at the City Winery in New York City tomorrow, Tuesday. Go to thezombiesmusic.com for tickets and all of their tour dates. Their last album, Still Got Hunger, is available in stores and on streaming services. Let's bring in Colin Blunstone and Rod Argent, the Zombies.
That was moving on from Still Got That Hunger. That's the Zombies. Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone are in studio. Go to thezombiesmusic.com for tickets and all their dates. And the Zombies are performing at City Winery in New York City tomorrow night. That's sold out, but you can see them at City Winery in Boston later this week.
Great to have you guys in here. Good to see you again. How's everything?
Lovely to be here again. Thanks so much. It's great. Yeah, we've only just got here, so we're still a bit jet lagged.
Still a bit jet lagged? Where'd you guys come in from?
From London.
From London?
Yeah, 2 nights ago, actually. So we had a day off yesterday.
Back to New York City. When's the first time that the Zombies came into New York City? You guys?
Christmas 64.
Christmas of 64.
And we played the Murray the K show at the Brooklyn Fox.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Who else was on that show? Do you guys remember?
Dionne Warwick, Benny King, the Shangri-Las.
So you were right in the middle of
Chuck
that.
Jackson.
Yeah, that New York City music scene.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we were pretty fazed by seeing some of our heroes. Some of these sort of wonderful. I mean, we like many other young guys of our age in the UK, we discovered black R&B basically.
Right.
And some of our heroes suddenly were in front of us, and there we were, 18 and 19 years old.
Just kids.
And we thought, oh my God, we're going to have to play in front of these guys. It's going to, we didn't know what we were doing because we were so confused and phased. But they loved us, honestly. They took us to their hearts. And I remember Patti LaBelle having many conversations with us saying, listen, you've got to check out this new young kid on the block, Aretha Franklin,
wow.
which we'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even doing the R&B stuff at the time. She was doing the cabaret things. And she told us about Nina Simone.
Nina Simone, I was going to say, that's the other one she told us about. So we were down to the record store checking out all these new people.
That had to be the most stunning time ever when that was happening.
I think we were very lucky to be there at that moment.
Yeah, and the fact that it's always stunning to me that music crossed the ocean like that, and then you guys brought back another angle on it to Americans.
We didn't try and bring another angle.
Yeah.
It naturally went through the filter that was our Englishness, I guess, along with all the other bands like the Beatles, the Animals, everything else.
Yeah.
And when we brought it back again, we even when we were doing the covers that we thought we were reproducing faithfully,
yes.
you know, it had this sort of somehow this anglicised feeling about it. And we didn't even think about that, but it didn't make it. And if you've got any originality at all about yourself, then often anything creative starts like that, I think.
You know, I was just saying a few minutes ago that I actually felt quite guilty when we came over in the mid-60s, so 1964, and I wanted to say to the audiences that we're playing American music.
Yes.
You know, although we did play some original tunes, a lot of what we played was American music that we adored, and we'd, as Rod would say, you know, put a British filter on it and brought it back. And people didn't seem to realise. I wanted to tell them, because I really did have these guilt spasms where I thought, listen, this is your music, it's not ours.
It's such a unique time, too, to think that time period, you've got these incredible bands and musicians filtering back American music to people. Was that something that you were aware of at the time was incredibly unique? Like, did you know that you were a part of something so? Not
if you were going to be specific and say the British invasion. Personally, I wasn't aware, and I don't even know if people. I don't think they really put that label on it then in '64. No, I wasn't aware. It's only looking back that you can see it was a huge cultural revolution in theatre, film, photography, fashion, and of course music. And to a large extent, it was started by the Beatles, certainly with music. The Beatles opened the door. There was no great demand for British bands before the Beatles.
No, there wasn't really any real crossover at all.
No.
But just being in London in the early 60s must have been an amazing time, right? I mean,
well, it was. I mean, the thing is, you have to realise as well that England in particular was coming out of a very great period of austerity. You know, the post-war time, there was absolutely no money. People had nothing. And then suddenly things were easing. And for the first time in history, the youth of the country weren't just small versions of their parents.
Right.
They had a little bit of money and they started to invest that into fashions of their own, in music, in fashion, in art and everything. And suddenly, to the complete concern of some of the moguls, you know, like Dick Rowe of Decca, who didn't understand any of this stuff that was coming through, they were being very, very successful. So that had the result of the authorities saying, well, we don't understand this, so you just go ahead. There are no limits. There are no playlists. There are no rules, because we don't understand what you're doing. So you go ahead and do your thing. So anything seemed possible, and the youth of the country embraced that. I don't think there's been a time since when there have been such a lack of boundaries.
Yes.
You know, because the people that think they know best what everybody wants just didn't, you know. So you could explore artistically.
And they always the corporations look to take that back over the second they can, you know, the moment they can do
absolutely.
it, you know.
It's weird because that really was the beginning of youth culture, and I never really thought about the fact that it was the beginning of it, and yet you probably could never really have it the same way. It's like it becomes controlled after that.
Oh, it really does, yeah. After that short
I always
period.
think it's the accountants take over. You know? Once they see the profit, then they say, well, listen, we could make more profit if we did something.
Sure,
and then
exactly.
It's lost its magic.
Yes, and then they're like, we know how this works now. We know what the kids want. And that's
I had a manager once who was explaining to me that making records was just, and promoting and marketing records was just like marketing baked beans. And I argued with him for hours. I was really upset. But, you know, to a large extent, there are areas of the music business where I'm afraid now it's true. We're not involved in that part of the music business, but there is an area of the music business that is like marketing and promoting baked beans.
Well, if you look at it, you came to New York at a time where they had just wrestled back radio from the early rock and roll guys that took them all by surprise. You know, whether it was Elvis and that entire crew. And then suddenly they were running, you know, safer music for a couple of years.
They were.
Yeah. And then you guys came over.
Shook it up again.
Yeah, you shook it up again, and you kind of reintroduced America to the blues and to some of those rock and roll idols. You know, it's amazing.
Because a lot of the young musicians were being exposed to American music, not through radio, and blues and things, not through radio, because we had almost no radio at all. I mean, literally, maybe half an hour a week of some sort
recorded
of
music,
recorded music. But because there were no boundaries between race stations and all that sort of thing, a lot of the seamen, particularly in Liverpool, I mean, that's what, with the Beatles, and the Beatles were responsible for a lot of the blues things as well, because they were exposed to the merchant seamen coming back from New York, picking up, great new records, and sometimes really old blues records from people that even the black population was thinking was past history,
right?
Like regarded as really old-fashioned. John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters and everything. Oh no, that was the previous generation.
Yeah.
But they didn't have those boundaries, and people like the Stones picked up on these, and it became a really enthusiast thing for people in their young teens. And
they
discovering.
They were just sharing it with each other.
Yeah.
It was just sitting around playing these records and then figuring out how to play those records on your instruments.
And then, of course, because they didn't come from that musical background, it had a really English slant to it.
Yes.
Because it couldn't be anything else. I mean, we were just doing our versions of what we heard, and we were very excited by it. But I remember first seeing Elvis on television, and in the early days, and when he was first hitting with Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel and everything, and some of the early Sun things, and thinking, this guy is like somebody from another planet. This is so far outside my experience. I can't begin to. But it was so exciting.
Yeah.
And do you know what? 8 years later, we were number one in the American charts in Cashbox, and we later, many years later, found out that Elvis had our records on his jukebox, and in that time, 8 years,
Yeah, but I tell you another thing about the early British bands. They weren't trying to be famous.
No.
They were trying to play good music. They were trying to become better musicians and better performers. And I think that's a big difference with some young bands today, that people didn't think about, I want to have a hit record. No one thought that way, People were thinking about, how can we make this song better? How can we become better performers? And I think it's a...
Yeah,
Go on.
I was going to say, we often say together that these days, if somebody walks into a classroom and they say to the kids, what do you want to be? The answer they get back most often is, I want to be famous.
Right.
In those days, it would be something like, I want to be the best guitarist in the world, or, I want to be in one of the biggest bands in the world. But it was like the success of the music orientated rather than, I just want to be famous for its own sake. Yeah.
And all the bands being somewhat competitive with each other in the terms of that. I want to be able to master this instrument. I want to be able to write these songs. I mean, that's the other part of it's phenomenal, is that suddenly a generation of kids are writing songs, which is still... it's still a difficult thing for anybody to do.
I know. I can remember being absolutely amazed when we had our first session, which was in early 1964. She's Not There came out in the summer of 64. And we had a producer called Ken Jones, and he was giving us a pep talk about 2 weeks before we went into the first commercial studio we'd ever been in. And in the middle of this pep talk, he said, you could always write something for this session. And then he went on and talked about other things, and it meant nothing to me. But Rod and Chris White, our bass player, really picked up on, you could write something for these sessions. And Rod went away, and 2 days later he came back with She's Not There. Jeez. And I was just amazed. I had no idea he could write songs. I just had no idea. And as soon as he played that song to us, I think we all knew it was special. And I just didn't see that coming at all. We were going to do R&B classics. We weren't going to do new songs.
Yeah.
But we were so naive that we couldn't imagine that we wouldn't do whatever was put in front of us. Great.
I know.
I thought, I'm excited about this song, and I thought it's going to sound great with everyone playing it. And we had no idea of the pitfalls, to get from here to have a finished record.
The confidence of youth.
Thank God, we just didn't know in those days.
I'm so glad we didn't know. We would have never started. We would have waved the white flag right at the beginning.
But here's the other stunning thing. Now here we are 50 plus years later, and there's people still love that music.
And some young people too.
Yeah, of course the young people.
And who would have thought that 50 years ago? I tell you, I honestly thought this was a wonderful adventure. I'm going to travel the world with my mates playing the music that I love, and it will probably last, if we're lucky,
a few months.
Or maybe 2 years, I was thinking.
Yeah.
And here we are 50 years later. I really, no one's more surprised than me. And I think you're roughly the same on that.
Yeah, I mean, on our last tour, we had a few nice people come along to see us over here. And Graham Nash came along one night and he came out afterwards and we all had a good chat, you know. And he said to me, he said, who would have thought, he said, 50 years ago when we were backstage at wherever, that we could possibly, in 50 years' time, be saying, not only will we be just as excited about whatever we're doing in art, you know, because he paints as well as still makes
he's a
music,
photographer,
you know, and you know, and we're still very excited about the new music we make, because that's where we get our creative energy from, as well. We're not just trying to, you know, be retro all the time, although we're not disabusing that side of it. It's great, you know. But he said, whoever would have thought that would be the case in 50 years' time? And not only that we'd also still be singing the songs that we thought had a life of a few months, because then it's time for the next record.
Yeah.
You know, in 50 years' time. And yet here we are. And sometimes it's people of our age that have followed us all the way through. But usually there's a really good young component in all our audiences, and the young bands from the area come along and see us, you know, and you think, well, we're still somehow managing to relate with those songs and those sentiments and that music with kids from this generation.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Well,
it's stunning.
It continues because I think young people have access to great music, and that's true. And the Zombies are, you know, a classic in that way, that good songwriting is going to be great songwriting in any era. But I think it's also because the music is so cinematic, and so there's ways for it to come back up. I mean, A Rose for Emily being in S-Town,
that was
which was just like, every time I listened to it, it would break my heart at the end of every episode. Or The Way I Feel Inside and The Life Aquatic. So we were talking about really cinematic music that can kind of stay in part of pop culture still.
And do you know, The Way I Feel Inside was written on one of our first tours in the UK. We were touring with Dionne Warwick, actually. Or you call her Warwick.
Yes.
And with the Searchers, wasn't it, Cole?
Yes, it was.
And the Isley Brothers, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And who were actually, as an aside, they were absolutely lovely to us. And that was, I'll never forget that side, but that's a side issue. And the bus stopped, and, you know, on the way out to Scotland or something, or wherever we were going, and we had a coffee break, and we went in and had a coffee and everything, and I said to Cole, I'm just going to visit the loo, and I was in there, and I suddenly had this idea for a song, and I was sitting in the loo, and I thought, I've just got to write this down, and I had a bit of paper with me, and I drew some lines, and I just sketched out this melody, and I thought, I can just hear this first, I've got to just write this down. Anyway, I think I was in there about half an hour, and
actually, I came and found him because we thought we'd lost him. So I find him in the loo writing a song called "The Way I Feel Inside."
So that was really bizarre.
Yeah.
But you know what I was just thinking too, since you brought up Graham, and when I think of all those early bands, and then within the next 5-6 years, you were all progressing, but all progressing in different sounds. You know, you didn't travel as a pack for 50 years. You know, if you look at Crosby, Stills and Nash, sounds so much different from any Argent album, but they're all you guys started at the same spot.
We did, but I mean, imagine, people often, when we first came back to the States, Colin and I, because we'd started to get together for half a dozen gigs for fun.
Yes.
And in a very slow way, that suddenly, I mean, it's now gone into 18 years of.
This is in 1999. We've moved forward
it's
now.
It's completely bizarre. But when we first came over here, you know, people were saying to me, why are you playing that organ? Why aren't you playing a Farfisa organ? You know, one of the very early organs. Look, I've got one I can bring along. I said, no, I don't want to. You know, the thing is, there was a little clique at the time that wanted us to be just reproducing exactly the same sound, exactly the same way, as if our life hadn't moved on from 1964. But in fact, even at that time, things were progressing at the most extraordinary rate. I imagine the Beatles, when the Beatles started off, the difference between, I don't know, I Want to Hold Your Hand to some of the things on the White Album, or you know, Sgt. Pepper or whatever. It, you know, it was such a time of experimenting and wanting to try different things out and moving in different directions, taking you where your thoughts were taking you, what you were listening to at the time. And that's that. If you're creative, that's a natural process. And yet sometimes people get stuck in that groove, you know.
And what I think is fascinating is that you weren't just copying whatever was happening at the time. Everybody went off and found their own kind of individual way of expressing themselves.
Well, that was very important. But, you know, we were just talking about this together. It was a time of great invention because it was great exploration. You know, as I said, anything seemed possible. And it was a time where everything was accepted. So you could go off in a direction that maybe didn't in the end work that well. But you were trying these things and the audiences were embracing it because music was so important. I'm not saying it's not important now, but it was so important in those days. And it was so much a shared experience.
Yes.
You know, because there wasn't 24-hour, you know, visual stuff coming at you all the time.
Yes.
You didn't go into a supermarket and have music as wallpaper to everything that you ever did. It wasn't like that. It was, people said, you know, we had a program called Top of the Pops in England. And it was did you see last, you know, the whole, if there was a number one, the whole country would know what that number one was. And that would be the grandmothers and the mothers and the daughters and, you know, the babies, you know, anyone that was old enough to take anything in. Everyone would know what that was. And I remember when House of the Rising Sun came out and we were playing a gig that night, weren't we? And like everyone else, it was on a show called Ready, Steady, Go. And we were completely knocked out with this. We thought it was fantastic. We played a very bad version of it that night, and we never rehearsed it. You know, but all the people there, that's all they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Do you know, another thing that people used to do was they would buy an album and that evening you would stay in and you would play that album all the way through.
Start to finish.
That was your evening's entertainment.
Yes.
And you would read the album notes while you were playing it.
So you focused on it.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, people don't do that anymore.
No, and who knew when you were going to buy the next album? So you might be listening to it for 3 or 4 weeks straight.
Absolutely.
And just completely consuming it.
And you know what the result of that is? The thing is that maybe the track that you bypassed for the first week or so became your favourite track in the end.
Yes.
Because it wasn't an instant, you know, an instant a feeling, an easily taken in something.
Right.
It took a little bit more effort to take it in. But in the end, people miss out on that now because they cherry pick tracks,
yes,
you know, and make playlists. Yeah. And, you know, well, I do it as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, because if things are there, you do it. You know, you take what's there, really.
Yeah, as the world changes, you kind of change with it, but we do always leave something behind. And I think the other amazing thing is that when you guys are playing the City Winery, it's going to sound different than any other show that you've ever done.
Yeah.
There's always something so fascinating about that night of connecting the audience and the players connecting together.
That's the beauty of live music, really.
Yeah.
And it's that's why live experience is so important to people these days, because records don't sell what they did unless you're Adele, you know, or just one or two people. And it's that feeling that it is a unique experience. And you're right, it does have something to do with the conversation, even if it's implied, between the artist and the audience. Something happens and it makes you play slightly differently, but you know, our band is so great because they pick up. I mean, I know that if I'm playing a solo and I go in a slightly different direction, the whole band is listening and they go with you, and that's something that you can't.
No, you can't, and you don't. Whatever that crowd is, too, whatever that energy that they bring or lack of energy, it just makes it totally different. And you never know. You never know at what point that you get to that place that you can't even describe. But we've all felt it before. You know, we've all felt that connection.
I know there's some evenings when you really think you're not getting through, but you know, we're all pros, so it doesn't really make a lot of difference to us because we give everything we've got, whether we're playing in an intimate venue or whether we're playing a big festival. But there's times when you think you're really not getting through. Sometimes it's a lot to do with culture. When you play say we play in Japan, they can be very quiet until the end of the song, and then
they go mad.
Then they go
They
mad.
explode, yeah.
And that can happen, anywhere where you think we're not getting through to these people, and then all of a sudden there's a magical moment, and they just go crazy, and of course it lifts us.
Yes.
And the show will then go on in a different direction because we've been lifted by the audience.
And we kind of never talk about those moments, and I think everybody has experienced that in their life. There's been points that you're at a show and you start the show thinking about something else, and then you're in this indescribable place where you're like, oh, this is more important than we even give it credit for.
It becomes a shared experience, doesn't it? Yeah. And that communication between people is getting less and less these days because people so much, and I do it too.
Yeah.
On my flipping phone all day, wake up in the morning trying to get over jet lag, and I'm just going through things and everything. And it's such a solitary existence, really. And yet, if you can be within a shared communication,
right.
and if it's not forced,
Yes.
if it happens naturally, which is very important, then there's nothing like it.
Well, and that magical experience is what energizes us to keep performing. We realize we're not in the first flush of youth, and yet we still love to get out there and play live. And it is that
it doesn't feel any different when you're on stage,
right?
It really doesn't.
Absolutely, it's the same.
And you get.
And we put the same energy in.
Yes.
We put the same energy in as we did when we were 18 or 19.
Absolutely.
I think people are quite surprised. They expect people who've been playing music for 50-something years. They expect you to coast a bit,
right?
But we don't.
But that's the thing. You probably coast in other parts of your life.
When I'm on stage, I do a lot of coasting.
Talking to somebody.
I do a lot of coasting.
So great to have you guys in here, and I'm so happy that you're still making music. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ron Argent and Colin Blunstone have been in studio. The Zombies are performing at City Winery in Boston, March 3rd and 4th. Go to thezombiesmusic.com for tickets and all their dates. And their last album, Still Got That Hunger, is available now in stores and on streaming services.
Thank you so much, guys.
Great
Cheers.
to
see you next time.
Thank you. See you next time. Great.
That was wonderful. That was very cool.
That was the best. Rod Argent, Colin Blunstone, the Zombies. It was so phenomenal. Really, really cool.
And those guys have done such amazing stuff, even beyond the Zombies,
Oh, yeah. Just phenomenal music careers for over 50 years. And I couldn't even listen to Colin Blunstone just talk forever.
Yeah.
He talks the way he sings, so he just has that sweet, beautiful tonality to his speaking voice that you're like, oh man.
But how about when they said that they came over in Christmas of '64? Everybody always just feels like it was the Beatles they came.
Yeah.
But all those guys came week after week after week after the Beatles. Are they doing the Beatles channel?
I don't believe so.
That's stunning.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
I'll check though.
Because I love it when those guys do the different groups do the Beatles and then talk about that stuff, because these are the people that were basically the peers of the Beatles,
Yeah.
And you just hear there was a madhouse of groups at that same time, and they were all young. But can you imagine showing up in New York from another country when you're 18, 19 years old and you got a fucking hit record?
And not to mention, you don't have the kind of way to check in the way you do now with the internet or social media, where you might know what you'd be looking toward. You step off the plane and you're like, oh man, these people are really excited to see us. It must be so strange.
And there was you can imagine how much further away England was from America at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like literally we were at the point where people in America, unless you were somebody in the record industry that maybe had heard some things that were selling, had no idea that this thing was bubbling up until it became a tidal wave.
Yeah.
And just came crashing into the coast. So Americans were baffled by it all. And then an entire generation of Americans started bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just think of this, too. Before Well, we're doing something. Is it going to be this weekend that we do the Brill Building?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so here's the thing in the Brill Building. You had writers, and they would write in a room, and they would give it to their managers, and their managers would take around to different artists, and those people would be, somebody would, take it. And sometimes that you would have somebody like Dionne Warwick would just be the number one, for... who's the guy who wrote for her all the time?
Burt Bacharach?
Burt
Yeah.
Bacharach. So, like he would be like, okay, look, get me the next one, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of those guys, Doc Pomus was just, whoever would buy it would buy it. After that, every band was expected to, after the Beatles, to write their own songs.
Yeah.
The Stones didn't even want to write. They had no interest in writing.
Yeah,
and they were just like, they had to be forced into it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't really think that the standards for what you play your own, you play your own instruments, you write your own songs, like that standard began at that era.
So that was cool having the zombies in, right?
So cool.
So we were fairly sure this was not going to happen. Now we are sure in a few minutes. Alice Cooper is going to be dropping in here today.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's a good day for
That's
rock.
so wild.
It's a good day for
It's a rock god day.
Yeah.
And they will be a part of the Beatles channel.
They will be.
Nice.
That's fucking great. I want to just... Is there an on-demand where I could just listen to bands talking about the Beatles?
I'll check if the Fab Four show is on there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that show. So Alice Cooper coming up in a few minutes, and then Aaron Berg. So
What?
yeah,
Rock god Aaron Berg?
yeah, Toronto rock god Aaron Berg.
It's crazy.
Is going to be here. All right, let's break. We'll be back in a few with Alice Cooper. Bennington Show. Hey, did you guys see that river of flowing rocks on the I-Bank?
It's really creepy.
Fucking
it's like
weirded me out.
Disturbs the shit out of me.
Looks like it should be from some other fucking planet.
Like the way it's moving.
Why are rocks fucking flowing like that?
That's creepy.
There's no water, right? It's just rocks.
It's really, really weird looking. Look at how fast they're moving. What if you had to doggy paddle through that?
It would hurt so bad. And they don't look. You just see it going on forever. Something's wrong with the world now. Something's really fucking wrong.
Shit's getting crazy.
What is in there? Like rockfish?
At the very least, it does seem like you could go tubing down it.
But doesn't it seem like, I don't know, I might be on a wooden boat at the, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be in a tube. But doesn't it seem like it should be in one of Chris's fantasy fucking books that he reads?
The magical fucking rock lake.
The magical fucking rock lake.
It's not even a lake. It's not a
River.
lake. He doesn't know the difference.
But he just throws fucking in the middle of it.
I'm not good with bodies of water.
Where'd you go this weekend? Wine country? He loves wine country.
Really?
Yeah, but New York wine country. He goes to the Finger Lakes, makes out with his chick.
More wine.
He came back with a love bite.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I had never known you to be such a wine fan. I've never seen you. I don't think I've seen you drink wine before.
Ever?
No,
I don't think I have seen you do it either. We're throwing ever in.
Yeah. I've seen you drink beer, whiskey, maybe a few cocktails here and there. I've seen you dabble in a cocktail.
It's mainly a straight whiskey. What's your cocktail choice?
If I have to get a cocktail, I'll usually get like something like a Gold Rush if you're at a fucking cocktail bar.
Fucking cocktail bar.
But I don't like them because it takes too long to make the drink. And I feel like if you just give me a Jameson on the rocks,
yeah,
that's great. That's all I need.
That's what most people are looking for, speed. It's like some sort of a drive-through service to get drunk.
I wish we could just put it directly into your liver.
I will say though that you cannot sit down and have a drink with Chris in it's not like an enjoyable thing because you can feel him rush through it because it is about speed.
But you feel his anger for some reason.
Yeah, and then
instead of becoming fun guy, He's Lee Marvin.
Like, we'll be out, and maybe people will be drinking and having food and talking while they're doing those things, and Chris is just kind of like hitting
And then
it quietly.
here's what happens,
and
right? And then somebody will bring up that he's drinking like that, then he starts to get surly with them.
Yeah.
There's like no fun going on.
What's your problem?
Whatsoever.
Like, do you have fun when you drink?
Yeah. It's a great time.
But how come you don't smile or laugh or anything?
You can have smiles on the inside, Go.
No.
Fucking smiles on the inside. Fucking.
I wish I could see him being all fucking romantic with his girlfriend.
I would love to see that.
But it's like, I wonder, does she ever even come to you with problems or anything? Do you know how to interact like when somebody's had a bad day?
Like if she comes in and says, today at work, this really messed up thing happened. Everything got dumped on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like suppose she lost 2 keys bringing them in from fucking Costa Rica. Alice Cooper right outside of our door. Alice Cooper, what's he doing, Chris?
Jesus Christ Superstar Live in concert. It's happening Easter Sunday, April 1st on NBC, NBC.com for more information.
Are we ready to bring him in? Can anybody tell?
Can't tell yet. I think we're very close to being ready to bring him in.
Ask me why the singer's name is Alice. All right.
Alice Cooper's in studio. Jesus Christ Superstar Live in concerts happening Easter Sunday, April 1st on NBC, NBC.com for more information.
And Alice was just running that song.
I did that song 20 years ago. It was Tim Rice, who was an old friend, and he says, Victor Spinetti did the first one.
Right.
And Victor Spinetti, if you're a Beatles fan, was the director in Hard Day's Night. And he did this one. And Tim says, I want something a little more scary. He says, and a little bit more threatening in the voice, a little more cynical. And I'd love to do that.
Wow.
I mean, I was born to be the villain. So.
Sure, of course. But doing it live on TV like that, I mean, it's got to go perfectly, right?
Well, you're in a rock band, you're in front of a live audience every night, and you're doing 25 rock songs. It's another rock song, except that it's a different way of approaching it. I kind of see him, King Herod is more of a Alan Rickman,
right?
Kind of condescending, cancel Christmas, that kind of guy. Yeah, because he's got Jesus right where he wants him, and he's going to poke him. And that's really where he's at. And he's a puppet king. He's not really the king because the Romans are running everything.
Right.
So,
So the elements of live on TV doesn't change anything because you feel like it's the same.
It's the same thing
as performing live.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to sing the song the same way, except, and if you're used to being in front of a live audience, you want reaction.
Right.
So you play it bigger than life to get that reaction. If it were like just a big studio, nobody in there, it'd be a little bit hard to do.
Yeah.
But when you can actually draw the audience out, it's great.
Well, when this play first came out, it was kind of controversial at the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, everything in the 71 was controversial. I was.
Yeah, of course you were. But you still are.
Yeah. Back then, though, there was no internet.
Yeah.
So everything was an urban legend. If I had an 8-foot snake, it was a 25-foot snake.
Yeah.
The next day at school, and it ate 2 people. So.
Oh yeah, you were the cause of a lot of urban legend that I
probably got you in trouble with your parents. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Those early albums were, everything to me. But the fact that you brought that kind of theatrical thing and you're still doing it is like your own personal, I guess, fingerprint.
I looked at rock and roll and I said, what is needed in rock and roll? We were a really good rock band.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 25,000 really good rock bands.
Yeah.
We had a certain theatricality to us that was in DNA. It was in the DNA. And I said, there's all these Peter Pans and no Captain Hook. Why? I will gladly be Captain Hook. I was made to do that. If you're going to be Alice Cooper and piss off every parent in America, then you better have a show around it. Yeah. And so we just kept adding things to the show, and every day we would get in more trouble. Every day we'd get bigger.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things, but you still had to have the songs. You still had to have those songs that really, that was the whole meat of everything, was the music. The theatrics was the icing on the cake, but you had to have the cake.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you knew Jim Morrison, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Early on, yeah.
And he was doing somewhat of a theatrical thing, but really off by himself.
He was this great, he was the statue of David come to life.
Yeah.
And he was dark, poetic. He was Shelley. He was this guy that could light a cigarette and take 2 minutes lighting it, and the girls would just go, And then their music was that too.
Yeah.
LA, their music was very sexy, very, very sexy. Whereas San Francisco music was all, bluesy and country.
Right.
But the Doors were the underground. They were the LA underground. And Jim Morrison was the perfect character. So the first people we meet when we go to LA as a young band, the Doors.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to drink with Jim Morrison, right? And I'm trying to drink with Jimi Hendrix. And I'm in that clique now. And I'm nobody. It just happened to be one of the guys that got adopted. And I watched them all die at 27, trying to be their characters off stage. Jim Morrison was more dangerous off stage than he was on stage.
Yeah.
He would take pills like you would eat Skittles.
Yeah.
And I said, if I'm going to survive, I've got to separate the character from me. So it took me getting sober to understand that I play this guy. I don't have to be this guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still here after, I guess, 50 years,
But that actually took years for you to figure that out.
Yeah. I had to get sober. I'm 37 years sober now, but I really had to get sober in order to figure that out, that I don't have to carry a snake around with me every place.
Right.
And it's more fun being Alice when you get to look forward to playing him.
Yeah.
I mean, now I can't wait to get up on stage and play him. But, off stage, I'm a dad, I'm a granddad. I used to coach Little League. In fact, one of the great stories. You got to picture this now. My son's 10 years old. And like every other dad, I'm coaching Little League. I'm Coach Cooper. My hair's tied back. I got a baseball hat on. Wayne's World comes out on a Friday. And we have our game Friday, and all the kids, they go to the movie that night. Monday, I'm trying to get them to do anything. And finally, one kid comes up and goes, Coach, how did you get in Wayne's World? And I started laughing. I started picturing these kids. They're all going there, sitting there, and they're going, that's Coach Cooper.
Yeah.
What is he doing in this movie? It was really funny because I just never thought of it that way.
Right. And these weren't Hollywood kids where they get to see people.
Arizona, average kids in Arizona where they're just, and they said, what? I could imagine that night going, this is impossible. That's our baseball coach.
But that absolutely saved your life, being able to get sober. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I was throwing up blood in the morning because it wasn't alcohol anymore. It was medicine now.
Right.
It turned from, I drink beer with the boys, and that's, to now I've got an interview. I better have a drink. And then I've got to do this. I better have a drink. And I was one of those guys. I was the Dean Martin guy. I was on the golden buzz.
Yeah.
Never drunk, never stumbling, never, always happy. My wife was, was never mean. I was always nice and fun and everything. But inside, it was dying.
Yeah.
Everything was dying in there. And I finally threw up blood one morning, and she just says, "Oh, party's over."
Yeah.
And she was right. I went to the hospital, and that was it.
But, 37 years ago, it's still, people weren't as accepting of it as they am now. People would try to talk you out of being an alcoholic or think it was just something that happened to sailors.
Yeah, just stop drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, stop having cancer, okay?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was. It was a disease I didn't understand anything about. I didn't know I was an alcoholic, honestly. I didn't have any idea until I went to the hospital and they explained it to me. And then the crazy thing was that I came out of the hospital and never once had a desire to drink.
That was it for
And the doctor said, that's a biblical miracle that you're not in AA and you're this. And I said, God took it away from me.
Yeah.
Just took it away. Just like, that's enough. And to this day, I've never had a craving, 37 years. And the doctors go, that's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like you had cancer one day and the next day you didn't have it. So I look at it as a miracle.
But did you have to ask for it to be taken away? Did
Absolutely.
you had that moment?
My dad was a pastor.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a pastor. My wife's father's a pastor. And I was the prodigal son.
Sure.
I grew up in the church, went away, as far away as I could, and then came back. And it was truly a miracle. I mean, the doctors go, look, you are the classic alcoholic.
Yeah.
You should have a guy with you at all times, as Steven Tyler does. He has a guy with him all the time. I said, I have no desire to drink at all. So it was taken away.
Just lifted off of you, where
like a 500,000 pound weight.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still here doing concerts. I just turned 72 2 weeks ago. Never felt better in my life. I'm doing more concerts now than I've ever done.
And always have great players. There's one thing about you.
Surround yourself with great players. That's the trick. My drummer just won Best Drummer in Rock and Roll, Glenn Sobel. I've got 3 gunslinger guitar players and every night on stage, I mean, it sounds like an 18-year-old band up there, And
that's the something that you caught on to pretty early on. Because like you said, the original band was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And you're able to keep progressing throughout the years.
There's a corral of great players, and then you have to find the ones that totally get the fact that you're a Detroit rock and roll band.
Right.
That's where you come from. You have to have that. It's a funny story. I have a girl in the band now called Hurricane Nita Strauss. Mm-hmm. She was 28 years old. She looks like a model. She plays like Steve Vai.
Yeah. I've seen her. She's amazing.
Is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we're saying, okay, we're going to do this thing with the graveyard of the Hollywood vampires. We've got to do 4 songs. We'll do one for Jim Morrison, let's do one for Keith Moon. How about Pinball Wizard? And we go, oh yeah, Pinball Wizard. She's like, what is that?
What is that?
I didn't realize her reference point started somewhere around Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And I said, from Tommy. And she goes, you mean our other guitar player, Tommy? No. I get it. As soon as she heard it, she had it. But I mean, if you don't have those reference points, like in the Hollywood Vampires, I got Johnny Depp and Joe Perry. I can say to Johnny, that riff on the 3rd Yardbirds album that Jeff Beck does? He goes, yeah. And he'll play it.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, something like that. See, there's a reference point there that I can just say that and he knows exactly what I mean. With her, she was like...
Well, you brought up Detroit rock and roll, and it was such a big sound out of nowhere. It was such a
hard rock
large, hard rock sound. Yeah. And I'm always curious, like, how did that start? Where did that, why did Detroit get
I was born in Detroit.
Yeah.
So I grew up there until I was 10 years old, and I had to get out of there because of asthma. Mm-hmm. I had asthma, so I moved to Arizona. But that DNA is still there. Detroit's an industrial town. In LA, if you're going to go to a hard rock concert, you leave work, you go home, you put on a pair of old Levi's and a black leather jacket, and in Detroit they just come from work like that.
Right.
That's what they wear. And if you're in Detroit in that period, 68, 69, 70, San Francisco had its sound, New York had its sound, Detroit was hard rock.
Yeah.
Also, it seems like Detroit had such an emphasis on live performance too.
Yes.
Like you had to be
MC5.
Yeah.
The Iggy and the Stooges, Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, and the Amboy Dukes. You go down the line at Bob Seger, every band had a show, which was different from New York and different from LA.
Right.
You got up there and you couldn't be Crosby, Stills, and Nash in Detroit.
No. Right.
And they weren't even necessarily thinking about recording the way you do in New York and LA. They were live performance first.
That was it. I mean, the first time we went to played a great big festival in Michigan. I had never heard of the MC5. I'd never heard of Iggy and the Stooges. And we're getting ready to go on, and there's this band on before us, and there's this guy out there with his shirt off and peanut butter all over him, walking in the audience. And I went, I'm not used to that kind of competition.
Yeah, right.
Generally, Alice is the one that's,
the weirdo.
And I'm looking at it I went, holy crap, this guy's going to wear the audience right out. I got to get him back now. And I always told Iggy, I said, I don't ever want to go on after you. But, because he'd kill the audience and you have to get him again.
But the thing about you is that you manage, unlike most of those bands that we're talking about, be able to take it mainstream, where most of that is still pretty regional. And, the MC5, everybody knows one of the greatest.
They had a limited success when it came to that.
Yeah. Why do you think that was? Why do you think you were able to move that over?
Bob Ezrin.
Yeah.
Bob Ezrin came in and he saw what we did at Max's Kansas City. We were playing Max's Kansas City. He came in and looked at it and went, oh boy, I see the future here. You know, this is before New York Dolls. In fact, the New York Dolls were there that night, kind of watching us play. And he said, if I can take that and be their George Martin, what George Martin did with the Beatles, and take it and just simplify it so that it's a record, a 3-minute record, it's going to be really powerful. 18 was the first record. Simple punk anthem. I'm 18 and I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm the scourge of the planet and I like it.
Yeah.
And that was the punch of that. But he worked with us for 6 months, just reteaching us how to do it. Took all the best parts and really turned it into Alice Cooper. And we had hit single after that because Bob, without giving up the edge.
Right.
School's Out. You know, it had the Yardbirds edge to it. Elected sounded a little bit like the Who. It was big and tough. All those records had, but they were hard rock, and we didn't give in to anything. And that was Bob Ezrin. I got to give him all the credit on that.
Elected is almost the song of this time that we live in, isn't it? I mean, when you think of the character that you were playing then, and Donald Trump now,
top prime cut of meat. I'm your choice.
Yeah. It was almost like a Nostradamus thing from that many years
I'm
out.
Yankee Doodle Dandy in a gold Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
but I mean, that was John Lennon's favorite song.
Was it really?
Because he was very political. And he heard the song and he goes, oh, I love that, man. He says, you know, I didn't see it as political. I saw it as a satire on politics.
Yeah.
And it was an overblown Kurt Vonnegut kind of look at it. But he saw it as, hey, this is a good punch in the stomach for those guys. So every 4 years we bring it back.
Right.
Whoever's running.
Yeah.
And they get a spot in the show. The last election we had, Trump would come out on one side. Hillary would come out on one side. And except we figured, well, let's make this modern. They were all zombies. They were torn up and they were melting and everything. And one would, you know, he pats her on the butt. She turns around and smacks him and that back and forth. And then the big passionate kiss. And everybody in the audience go, ooh. You don't want to see those two people do a passionate kiss. So, I mean, we didn't favor one over the other.
Right.
You know, because politically, I hate politics. Hate it. You know, rock and roll should take you away from politics as far away as possible.
As far as away as you can get. Yeah.
You know, I'm the vacation from politics.
But, you know, before that happened, were you thinking that you could have hit singles? I mean, it must have been the furthest thing before. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you why. Because my generation grew up trying to sound like the Beatles. The bands that were closer to the Beatles wrote better songs because we would listen to how the Beatles did that.
Right.
We would listen to how the Beatles did this. We'd go, oh, okay. So you could take any Alice Cooper song that you would think would be a subversive, salacious, you know, and you could sit on a piano and play it and sing it because that was part of the deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a riff and me yelling at you. It was a song. We would listen to Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
And say, okay, listen how this song works.
Well,
I listen to people like Laura Nyro and say, well, listen how she does this. And then now write it as Alice Cooper.
But I think that's amazing that people didn't catch on to that you wrote that kind of a singer-songwriter song and then Alice Coopered it up from there.
You take any song and then how do you flavor it? How do you decorate it? How do you make it into what Alice would do? And then you add Alice's voice in there. If Paul McCartney was singing those songs, it would be a different song. You put Alice's personality in there. Now it's an Alice song. But you never give up that construction, never give up that tune that people can walk away going, oh, yeah, I like that song.
I know that you were friends with Glenn Campbell, too. And I always found that amazing is that we put, you know, whether it's fans or radio people, put things in the genres. But musicians tend to like music that they like. They like music.
Not just that, but you admire their musicianship.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, it's impossible to not like Wichita Lineman.
It's one of the best songs of all time.
All those Jimmy Webb songs are great songs.
Yeah.
But Glenn Campbell could play guitar in my band.
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell could play guitar in anybody's band. I had Eddie Van Halen come to me one time and say, could you get me a lesson with Glenn?
Wow.
That's how well Glenn was thought of in the as far as a guitarist.
Well, that's how he came in. He was in the Wrecking Crew first, right?
Played all the Beach Boys. He played everything you could think of. But we had one jam one night. I have a thing called Christmas Pudding. I have a charity in Phoenix where it's open to any kid, any teenager that wants to learn any instrument for free. All they have to do is come in. So we do this Christmas pudding show, and I had Ted Nugent, I had Don Felder, I had all these great guitar players on stage. And we were doing kind of a Paul Butterfield Chicago blues thing. Yeah. Born in Chicago or something like that. Glenn Campbell plugs in and blows everybody off the stage. I mean, all the guitar players just went, what? Because he was Mike Bloomfield. Yeah. He was just playing all this stuff and he was just laughing and playing it. We're like, holy crap, this guy's good.
With just great ease too, right? Because he always made everything look easy, right?
Yeah, he did. And he was the nicest guy in the world. I played golf with him twice a week. Best short game I've ever seen in my life. For an amateur, yeah.
So great to have you in, Alice.
Thank you.
Chris, listen to that plug.
Alice Cooper's been in studio. Jesus Christ Superstar Live in concert is happening on Easter Sunday, April 1st on NBC. Go to NBC.com for more information.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Fun show.
See you next time.
Okay.
How cool was that?
It was so surreal, man.
Alice fucking Cooper. How charismatic is he?
I know. I was not anticipating just how easy to talk to and just like he's just got a nice energy about him. I know it's a really weird thing to say about Alice Cooper.
He's got a great energy about him, and everything that he says is so smart. But it was so funny when he goes, I bet I got you in trouble. And I swear to God, my parents heard me blasting Dead Babies one day. Just fucking lit into me. Hated Alice Cooper. You know who turned me on Alice Cooper was my older brother.
Really?
Yeah, and that was really not even what I would ever have thought of as his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be.
But those early songs are just great, great rock and roll songs.
Yeah, I mean, you really turned me on to early Alice Cooper, which is just like
when it was
very
the band.
Yeah, like as the band, which is just really solid hard rock songs.
Yeah, but he really does have the best players. I mean, he went from having that rock and roll band to can I find the best session musicians to go out on the road with that can play Alice Cooper songs? And when one of them moves out, he moves another one in. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he seems to know where the next great guitar player is coming from, the next great drummer is coming from. I guess it's because it's his business. You can tell. You know what I mean? Like he's not sliding into anything.
Yeah.
And,
and probably when you think about that theatricality, you also just think about it as all of the elements. You know what I mean? Like you want the best of it's the big show kind of thing.
It is the big show, and he's toured now for 48 years or something crazy. I mean, it's been a pretty nonstop. And then he goes and lives in the suburbs outside of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And, coach baseball and
Coach Cooper
fucking raises money for kids to play instruments. Pretty wild story.
Yeah.
It's always funny too. And like, that's why I brought up that Glenn Campbell thing. Because I was always curious about that, Like you couldn't seem like you were further apart.
Yeah.
One was like the boy next door, and the next one was people that literally parents were afraid of.
Well, it's also, you've talked about this before, that kind of musicians don't really draw the same lines that listeners do. Well, and so they're like, they just recognize talent because, they know it better than anyone in the world.
And yet we always go, oh, you listen to that? You know what I mean? Look, you're still afraid to say that you listen to ska. To this day, you won't admit that you listen to ska. And we're really there for that return of the big band sound.
Oh, yeah.
What was that scene called? It was like the whole...
It was like the swingers
kind
of
it was like
thing.
Swing.
The swing music phase.
The Cherry Poppin' Daddies and all that.
Yeah, there was like a very strange resurgence of swing, and then like that kind of reggae-inspired punk ska.
Yeah. But that swing music thing, did that happen before or after that movie?
I think that it was just kind of on the outskirts,
Right.
really. But I don't think it was
What was
like
the name of that movie?
Swingers.
Swingers, yeah.
Yeah.
And it seemed like right after that, every fucking bar was doing
playing
Swingers
the
night.
Cherry Poppin' Daddy.
And there was actually a thing of like, because I was in Florida at the time, and I could book people in my club and then move them around, and big bars that had fucking comedy nights dropped them for these swing bands.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Also, people were taking swing dancing lessons, which is hilarious.
And buying the clothes. Like, you
Yeah.
couldn't just go out and swing dance in your regular clothes.
No,
you
you
had to
needed,
dress like in a zoot suit.
Yeah, you needed like chain wallet and the two-tone shoes and shit.
It was fucking
Very weird time.
Yeah.
It was not a great time style wise, but then if you see what happened just after, it does look like not so bad. Because I think it actually got worse in like the late 90s.
Everything got worse in the late 90s.
Everything did.
Yeah. The late 90s was basically the fucking Titanic hitting the iceberg was a real thing
Right.
for the entire culture.
It might
I
have
don't know
even started
why.
with Titanic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just culture and music seem to kind of all really die.
And stay dead. Every once in a while, we'll get this little breathing thing.
Right.
But look, we just had the Zombies and Alice Cooper. Like, the Zombies were around almost 10 years before Alice Cooper. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
And now Aaron Berg is next.
The next big rock up.
Toronto rock. What was the weirdest thing you were into when you were younger, Chris, musically?
I really love, what was it, Sum 41? Yeah, Sum 41.
That's weird because when Sum 41 came out, we were about the same age. You're a little bit older than me, and I thought it was like kids' music then. So you know what I mean? Like it was like kind of the
He's
young
like a
ladies.
fucking baby.
Yeah, I'm like a baby. Want my baby rock.
Hey, Richard, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I believe the swing movement came out big time after that Gap commercial.
No, I think the Gap commercial came when after the movie Swingers, and that's when it just like mainstreamed out. That's when moms were going like, I really like this.
It was like a thing. It was like slightly underground, then became like pop culture. And then about 6 months later, you heard like they were on commercials doing, "It's always Coca-Cola every time."
That's pretty good, though. That voice. See if you can turn up volume. Yeah, this was.
Baby, it looks like it's.
And they're all doing this in the kind of fucking weirdo pants that no one wore to a
This is horrible
swing.
shit. Khakis. Yeah, no one dressed like this at swing clubs.
It's called Khaki Swing. This commercial.
You got a minute. It's a good song.
I mean, it is pretty good. And this dancing's pretty cool.
No, it's fucking great. It's just no one can do it. You know what I mean? Like
That's
when
the
you
problem with it.
when you go, no one wants to be like, you can't dance as good as the Footloose kids. Okay,
Right.
I don't know where
I
those
know.
kids came from.
Well, see, that's why ska was a little bit more palatable for me because, like, even short, chubby girls could like dance to ska.
All right, I think this is true about ska, though. I think ska, there was like a slight 60s thing of ska, a slight 70s thing of ska, a slight 80s thing of ska. It's just like it never totally goes away.
It never does,
But
yeah.
it never becomes the music of choice.
No, it never does. It's always on the outskirts because it's just a little too weird, I think, to be mainstream. But yeah, and then the 90s was like the punk ska fusion, the pop punk ska fusion, I should put it.
But
like,
you can find ska songs in every fucking decade.
yeah. And those same bands that were like I liked when we were talking like mid 90s ska bands, like those folks still tour. They still have people who show up to those shows.
Were those the original number bands? Remember when bands in the 90s started numbering
I don't
themselves
know
up?
if they were the original, but I think that went across the genres with most rock music. Like everyone just started throwing numbers.
You
into
know
the
why?
music.
I think it too is AOL suddenly got big.
Right. So
And people are
it's
using
like your
their-
screen name.
They're almost screen naming it. It was fucking cool with Alice Cooper, though.
It was really cool.
That was nuts.
It was really surreal, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, man, he
sometimes
looks just like Alice Cooper.
He does. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I just, like, I would be talking to him and I'm like, what a sweet guy, an interesting guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, that's Alice Cooper. That's
I know.
really weird.
I know, man. That's true. I'd never met him before.
And then I also think it's funny, like, Alice Cooper just walks in, he just seems to be, like, by himself, and he's sitting here.
I know.
You know what I mean? He just, like, chucks his leather jacket on the couch, and I'm just like, this is pretty weird.
Yeah, and every time an Aussie comic comes here, he's got 19 people backing him up. You know what I mean? But Alice Cooper, and again, like I said, he's not wearing the makeup, but if you were on the street, you'd be like, fuck, there's Alice Cooper.
Right.
Comfortable in his own skin.
Right.
A lot of that might be coming from his, kind of church and sober thing of, keeping a bit of humility. I love the fact that you go get, these guys all died basically playing their gimmick. And it's the same thing that happened to a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they had to be that character all the time. Quite frankly, I think it's what happened to Fez. I think there was the stress of being Fez all the time.
Yeah. You've got to have an off-air persona, off-stage persona.
John in Tennessee.
Hey, Ron, you remember the Stray Cats, don't you?
Very, very well.
Do I?
Okay. Would they be considered like swing dance music, or would that be rockabilly music?
I have waited 33 years to be asked this question, and I think they're straight rockabilly.
All right.
I appreciate you bringing it up, though. And I finally got to get that off my chest.
But I do feel like you could probably do some of the lighter swing moves if you were listening to rockabilly. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
But I don't think
there's a dance connection between those two genres.
But I don't think you're going to be doing the same, like chucking people up in the air to it. But it's like a more rock and roll version of the swing.
It is.
Dance.
But, you're spinning your bass around. You're still having some fun.
Sure. Oh, yeah. You can slap that bass.
That bass is too big to travel with, in my opinion. I'd be like, don't we have a smaller bass that I could stand and hold? I don't have the strength to play the stand-up bass. Jump, jabbing. 18. Dude, I might have been at some of the early things of the guillotine with Alice Cooper, and fucking people screamed in the first times. Yeah. First time I saw that, I can definitely remember the audience screaming as he got his head cut off. And his head was cut off for real.
It was real.
Yeah. Craig in Kansas City. What up, Craig?
Not a lot, Ron.
Hey, man.
Yeah, just remember being in junior high, and that Trash album came out back in, I think it was 87. And I remember reading the liner notes and seeing all these famous people of the day, like Bon Jovi, and I can't remember who else was on this, guest star on his album. And I was like, I never even heard of this guy before. He's already had a 20-year career by then. It's just amazing to me that, never even heard of him before.
Well, you were a child, my friend. Your sense of history was not very deep. Be easy on yourself, and just be glad that you got to see and listen to Mr. Alice Cooper.
He still does a famous, amazing concert. I seen him a couple of years ago in concert, and it's the second time I've seen him, and it's still just as good as it was 15 years ago. That's the first time I've seen him.
All right, thanks, man. Jameson in Long Island. Jameson.
I still use his line to this day when anyone says Milwaukee. It's actually pronounced Milwaukee. It's a good line.
That's funny as shit.
Congratulations on the Super Bowl, you guys. Really happy.
Thanks.
Not over it yet. Still enjoying it.
Couldn't be.
Vito, when are those things coming in?
I think they ship out the first week of March.
Well, that's next week, my friend.
So next week it looks like we'll be getting them in.
The March starts this week.
Yeah, this week. This Thursday.
I have a little saying about March. I always like to say it comes in like a lion, but goes out like a lamb.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
I say it to Greek people all the time. There was that famous John Belushi bit where he's like, in like a wildebeest, stout like a, he just wouldn't fucking drop all these stupid analogies to March. I don't think it's been a difficult winter. I'm traveled today in nothing but a sport coat, a jacket, and I can't think of another February that's happened that in my life. I know a lot of people are like, thanks, global warming, but I also saw in the East River just a whale, dead whale floating down the river.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
What are you going to do? You know what I mean? We've lived a long time. Vito, there's something about your face and that shade when you lean back like that you look like a sock puppet. You want to lean forward in this business, son.
So not to freak people out. You know what I mean?
We got a lot of big stars coming through here, okay?
Now I'm just looking in the reflection and leaning back and trying to see
just lean back and keep your mouth like that. It's scary.
No, I don't like that. You're right.
Yeah.
Because it looks like when a sock puppet has that expression on his face, like, what?
Yeah, like it's sucking its whole face in with its mouth. Vito, you don't have to make funny faces. It's already there.
We can see you. We can see the faces you make. Oh, my God. He drives me nuts sometimes because sometimes I think he's trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And it'll usually be when we have a guest in. Because it'll be like I'm looking in this direction.
Yeah.
And I'll look and like, oh shit, Vito's trying to tell me something about the guest. And I'll realize he's looking at himself in his reflection and shaking his hair.
Stop it, dude.
And I'm like, Vito, I keep thinking that you're
fucking pretty. You don't even have to play with it, all right? You're so pretty and you don't even know it. I wish you would just know how pretty you are.
Thank you.
Chris, not so pretty.
I mean, thankfully, I don't have a mirror in front of
Well, you were in wine country all weekend. I'm just every weekend. I always think that you're in wine country now, since you told me that you went away for a wine vacation in winter.
Enjoyed the North Fork's best wines.
Is that what you did?
No, I was in Brooklyn all weekend.
No, but I never know with you and wine. You're a fucking
wino forever. That's you.
Should have brought that up to Alice Cooper.
Flathead wants us to know that Alice Cooper and Bobby Slayton are friends. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're basically the same guy. Boom, boom, doo, doo, doo. I remember I had the School's Out album that was like a little fucking desk that you could put up. It's like a school desk. Do you ever see it?
Yeah, it's kind of like Kramer's concept of like
yes, it is.
Like I think
It's
they
like
took it from that.
Kramer's end table. You could open it up. And by that point, my brother was off the fucking bandwagon, and I think he called me the other F word for enjoying that album, but I did. Because he got rid of the band and just started to, he became Alice Cooper, the solo guy. It was a great fucking band, though. It's fucking cool that, when we hear that, we did that Detroit rock scene.
Yeah.
And it is weird that he became big and he didn't. And then I'll ask him, like, did that become weird to you? And he was like, nope. That was the fucking plan, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the plan. We would listen to songs and figure out how to make them work. Did you guys watch Crashing last night? You don't watch it, right?
I recorded last night, but I haven't seen it yet.
He went to that college thing. You know how they hire the comedians to go to college? I don't know the fucking name of it.
NACA?
I don't know. I'm going to guess. I'll say yes to you if that's... But because you put like a question mark on it, I don't know whether... Now the pressure's back on me. You could have just said that's it, and I would have had to agree with you.
The episode was named NACA, so I'm going to confidently say NACA.
Okay, so NACA. So you watched it?
I recorded it.
Oh. So then he just turns into this hack for them, trying to do stuff that he thinks that they would like. And I'm just like, I know I shouldn't say this, because we've had Pete Holmes on several times now. But the Pete Holmes character, I could literally beat up. I could literally beat him up. I'm never on the Pete Holmes character side.
I saw the the teaser for the episode, and it looked like he was just going into like a Randy type character, right?
It was.
like
Anything
out
like,
of nowhere.
You guys like Scoob? You know, he was doing shit like that. His girlfriend was just disgusted because like they weren't supposed to mention rape or anything, and she was like, you know how at frat parties when someone gets raped, you know, like she was being the pure comic. And he was trying to think of catchphrases.
Right? And just play to the room.
Yeah. And the girl from Saturday Night Live that we met in Austin, the one that we loved, she has like the funny little voice.
Melissa Villasenor?
Yes. She was on the whole episode in a car trip with them. And it's fucking hysterical. But Pete, I could beat up. The character Pete. Hopefully not the real life, but I don't know. And I was actually thinking to myself, why do I let Larry David get away with being an asshole?
I know.
And not want to beat him up? But Pete plays like a pussier type of asshole that drives me crazy.
But there are people who get away with that kind of behavior better than others.
Yes, there are some people that get away with it, but I do think there is a cool factor. And the other thing about Pete is that he thinks he's such a good guy, and I hate people who tell me that they're a good guy. It drives me nuts. If someone says, look, I'm a good guy, you should do business with me, I'm fucking so turned off by that.
Yeah.
I know a guy that used to tell me all the time, I'm a good guy. And I'd be like, you're not, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're really out for yourself.
It's just strange to bring up if you like, aren't, especially.
But see, and I'm saying the Pete character, it's probably not Pete, but he'd be the kind of like, Chris, you know, he drinks too much and he's kind of sloppy. What? And I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, you're not, you're acting like you're a good guy, but you're so fucking superior to others.
Right. If you're putting other people's.
Can I just bring up something? Look at Alice Cooper. Very humble, easy to get along with guy. Terrific guy. He could be walking around like he was Alice fucking Cooper and get away with it because he is.
I would have assumed that would be at least 50% true. I was not expecting for him to come in just on the and deserve to be, a rock star type. Chris, I'm in the middle of a sentence.
And what is this? Is a fucking note about Aaron Berg and Mike Racine?
Chris, I'm talking about
take a break then. If you're going to fucking step on top of it. We need you with us, Chris, not against us.
I'm with both of you.
Why are you now giving me all
You're
these
with
things?
papers, always.
I have a lot of papers in front of me,
But
sure.
that's the thing that I hate more than anything else.
I
don't like papers.
You're trying to steal Paperboy's gimmick.
Gotta have that paper boy. I'm glad that you brought it up, though, Chris, because I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Because I know you're in a couples relationship now.
I am.
And I worry about you going to the grocery store too much and out to eat too much. And that's why I want to tell you this. Next time you go out to the grocery store, pay attention to how long it takes. Would you do that for me?
I will.
Actually, don't waste your time. I'll tell you. It's too long. It's 2018, dudes. The days of going to the grocery store, battling for a parking space, and searching high and low for some obscure ingredient are over.
Chris, it's time to say hello to HelloFresh, the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking healthy, delicious meals fun, easy, and convenient. Just go to HelloFresh.com, pick out the recipes you want. They're delivered right to your doorstep. They come every week in a special insulated box, along with easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions and full color pictures.
Chris, each HelloFresh box includes fresh, seasonal ingredients that are perfectly portioned. No wondering if you had the right amount and no waste. Just delicious meals that you can make in 30 minutes or less.
Chris, now this is the best part. For a limited time, you can get $30 off your first box when you go to HelloFresh.com/raw plus free shipping. Chris, write it down. It's HelloFresh.com/raw for $30 off.
Chris, say it with me. HelloFresh.com/raw. Now, Chris, say it on your own.
HelloFresh.com/raw.
One more time, Chris.
HelloFresh.com/raw.
Once more, Chris.
HelloFresh.com/raw.
HelloFresh.com/raw.
Welcome back to Bennington. Aaron Berg and Mike Racine are in studio.
Woo!
Hi.
They're going to have a roast battle against each other, and we'll listen and judge.
This is so awesome. I didn't know Mike was going to be here. We already been laughing hysterically, waiting outside.
Yeah, we were making laughing at.
We were making fun of Trevor Noah in the lobby.
We just started doing it.
He's like, Trump is a bad president.
He
Am I
is
right?
not good.
He is not good and have the tiny hands.
Yes, and do you know what is a shithole, Mr. President? Your face. You are a shithole. That is correct. You may applaud now, audience. That is, I have not paid American taxes.
I haven't seen Trevor in some time.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either. I mean, I don't watch the show, but I've heard stories.
I'll do an entire episode for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Trump, I think you are not very good at your job.
Here are many jokes that the good writers gave to me, but I said we will not do these. Instead, I was trolling Twitter all day and came up with the opinions of many 60-year-old women in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, he just looks at the Twitter posts of like college kids and like 60-year-old like resistance people, and he's like, "Good one."
You know, the young lady who brought you down here, Jen, is gigantic fan of his.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
Really?
He also has a warm spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
You watch him every night, Jen?
I usually catch up on his episodes on YouTube.
Oh, you wait till YouTube. Okay, you are a millennial.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I Snapchat with him.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the kids are into.
I watch his old
We're
stuff
too old.
on Vine.
He's a Vine star.
Yeah.
Watch me smack my dad in the head with this plate.
It's already gone. That's it. By the time you hit play, it was already over. You had to be quick to be on Vine.
I didn't know that he was a Vine star.
He's an attractive man. He's not a. He's a good-looking man. And I just think that job was so hard to step into. I think that's why so many people did not want to take that job.
They gave him a nice long deal though. After a year, I think he's they've locked him in until I think they said 2044. Was that the date on it?
2022.
Okay, 2022. I was off by 20 years.
I will be here as long as this orange president is here. You, sir, are the chimpanzee.
Trevor Noah taking a beat down today.
I don't know why. We just saw his picture up there, and Racine cracks me up so much. And we started laughing. And then we were like, let's go get some coffee.
We were saying, what if he goes too far? What if he gets real dirty and they have to dial him back a little bit?
Okay, what would it sound like, guys?
I will tell you what the shithole is. Baron Trump's mouth.
All right.
That is correct.
All right, Trevor. Trevor, that's a little boy. Okay?
I was standing.
That's a little boy.
In your country, pedophilia is wrong. But where I am from, you have to do what you have to do to get the electricity on.
Trevor, nobody wants to hear that. That's too.
Hickory dickory dock.
Yeah.
This girl was on my talkie thing. And then I went up a hill and took her money and said, you have no rights. Too far.
Look, Jen is just furious right
She
now.
does not like this.
Jen, take these two lads to see Black Panther later today so they get an understanding.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They need to understand.
Mr. Trump, you would go see Death Wish with Bruce Willis, but the real people would go see Black Panther. We are the people that built this country, and you should recognize that. Also, I don't pay taxes. I don't know if he pays taxes. I'm sure he does.
By the way, your African accent is a lot better than Forrest Whitaker's in the movie.
Oh, is it?
So
Forrest is in that?
Forrest Whitaker,
But he won an Oscar for playing an
I
African.
know, that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why it seemed really off.
Yeah.
Like he was the one person that you went, try again.
African's a very
with the-
underused accent, and it's a lot of fun to do.
You know, for years I only called Forrest Whitaker Black Popeye. I always thought he had the Popeye thing going at all times. He was a major star. He was a character actor,
Yeah.
then major star, and now back to character actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing is when you watch people start to glide further
You're
down.
like, hey, at
But
least I had it.
It was so funny. You watch TV in the 70s, it's all like it's people in their 60s on TV. They didn't put young people on. Now it's all the youngs.
It was good, Ron. TV used to be good.
Oh, boy. In
it
those
was
days.
something.
Yeah.
And now it's here and gone in 3 days. You got to watch this on Netflix, and then a week
And
later,
then
you
it's
don't have
gone.
to
But
watch
in
it.
my day, Archie Bunker, oh my God.
It was good TV.
Boy,
I
the
guess.
way Glenn Miller played.
Yeah.
We'd all gather around. Well, we gathered around our TV for warmth because we didn't have heat in those days.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say this. The last time I saw you, you and I were judging Mike Racine. And it felt like cheating because we knew we wouldn't vote against him.
Did we not vote against him?
No.
Really?
We voted for him.
I feel like I always vote against the person that I feel like I should vote for. Like I intentionally do that because I feel like they're expecting it. But that was good. Racine's a hell of a roaster.
Well, he was.
He broke his phone that
I always
night.
roast battle like women and blacks and people that everybody
Women and
roots
blacks.
for. Nobody roots for me. I'm like a villain.
Yeah.
It's always like Mike Racine is battling, and it's like some handicapped kid who's like Mike's is Italian. Mike makes his own sauce, and it's like, oh great.
Yeah,
I
they
wonder
hit
who's
you on
gonna
that
win
sauce.
this
That
one.
sauce.
Yeah, that
Every
sauce
time he roasts.
takes
Like,
a beating.
Oh, you were against Karen Fian, and she was great that
She
night.
had a good joke about my retarded brother.
Oh, it was so fun. I laughed about that joke for 2 days. What was the joke?
She said Mike makes his own pasta sauce, and his brother's head is al dente.
And there was another one about she goes he makes a special gnocchi, and even his brother goes, this gnocchi sucks. I thought
Here's what we got to do. Let's get a hold of Louis J. Gomez and change our vote. You know what I mean? She should have won.
I would take a bullet for Louis J. Gomez. That guy's a leader of men.
He would let you because
Today I'll lead you to skanks. Mike Racine's gonna get shot.
yeah, he definitely seems like one of those things when you're running away from the cops, you trip the one guy, so you can keep because cops always stop for the guy who fell down. No one keeps moving on.
No, I remember the night he got arrested. We were outside of Eastville Comedy Club, and he was smoking pot, and they arrested him, and everyone's like, Lewis is gone. And I was like, oh, my first instinct was like, I was texting him, and I texted his girlfriend. I'm like, look, let me know if we need to bail him out or anything. And then right away, they're like, hey, Lewis was supposed to host. I'm like, I'll take it.
What is it, Chris?
I want to let everyone know Aaron Berg and Mike Racine are in studio. Aaron's album, Mr. Manners, live from Long Island City, is available now on iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play. And Aaron hosts Frantic Mondays every week at the Stand Comedy Club in New York City. And Mike Racine's podcast, The Sit Down, is available now on Apple Podcasts and on Twitter at Aaron Berg Comedy and at Mike Racine.
You don't do it with Tim Dillon anymore when you guys talk about food?
No. That was short-lived.
Tim's too big now. He can't podcast with you.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't fit in a room.
Yeah. I don't mean like that, but I mean Tim's like career is his trajectory is taking off.
Oh, he just signed with NBC.
What did he sign?
I don't know. I think he's going to be there till 2024.
Let me tell you who's the shithole, Mr. President.
Yeah, Tim will fill in for Trevor Noah.
That's great. He signed.
Off nights.
I know he had something in development where he was doing this bus tour thing where he was going to go around the city and do it in different cities, and that was a Comedy Central show.
No, this was just he was going to drive a bus until he got it back on his feet.
These spots aren't paying.
Yeah. Don't anybody, touch the brake line back there, Look at this. It's a picture of an apple pie 2 nights ago. I put it on my Instagram. If you want to see everything, he just puts every fucking meal he's ever.
He does. Yeah. It actually makes me starving when I follow him because sometimes he eats well.
He does.
He's got good taste in food.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his addiction, very clearly. I think he's been he's in recovery, so that's his addiction, is food.
Wait, he's in recovery?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I believe so.
I thought we were supposed to keep that, between us.
Oh, anonymous. That's the other part of the A.
You know who's in recovery? He was just bragging about to us was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
37 years. He said he was a terrible drunk, and then once it was lifted off him, he never wanted to drink again.
Really?
He didn't have to do anything else. It was just gone. He just went to the Holy Spirit. Boom, taken away.
Big Holy Spirit guy.
Yeah.
How'd the music get affected?
Not at all. He said the music got better all the time.
Did the charts reflect this?
No.
No.
The charts stayed where they are, but people still want to hear those songs. That's the beauty of it.
I'm 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And I'd love to relapse.
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
I think you could have a drink. I mean, not a really strong drink. I think you could have a weak...
Like a wine cooler or something.
Yes, you could have a wine cooler or just a weak highball.
Mhm.
Just a spritz.
Yeah.
Just a spritz.
Right. Just a little Chivas and a lot of Coke.
Yeah, just to take the edge off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My wife and we argued on Valentine's Day, and she goes, I wish you would drink. And I was like, you're really positive. And so I did. I'd love to.
I was talking that over with a couple people. One of them was your sponsors, and we feel like a light beer would not be bad for you. One,
Yeah.
just at the end. What was your thing of choice?
Red wine.
Really?
3 bottles a day.
You would sit around and drink 3 bottles of red wine.
Yeah, I'd stand up for a little bit of it, but yeah, I loved red wine.
Oh, I've never heard of any. Like, you're literally a wino.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Literally a
Literally
wino.
a wino.
That just seems like a lot of sugar.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I went into withdrawal when I stopped. I didn't know it was withdrawal. I was like, I have a horrible flu that's lasting a month.
Yeah,
But it was withdrawal, probably from the sugar. And,
Yeah, the sugar as well as the alcohol.
The alcohol may have had something to do with it.
Mike, what's your monkey? What's that thing that's going to get you sooner or later?
I guess I like whiskey. I like food.
Yeah, it's good, isn't that whiskey?
Yeah.
I just fucking love it.
Here's
want
what
to
goes.
fight everybody.
Sure.
Do you still want to fight?
No, but I feel like I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was drunk, I didn't feel like that. When I do too much testosterone, I get like that.
You get a little...
Yeah, I get a little amped up. If my test levels go too high, I get a little, want to throw people through windows.
Mine is child pornography. Actually.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
That's a bad one. Because where do you go from there?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't dabble either.
No.
Just on holidays and weekends.
Yeah. Chris, what would you say out of all the things that you've done? Was it the pills? Is it the pornography? I know you're with a Costa Rican now, and that's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a human being, Ron.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
No, I don't. I mean,
she thinks it's a big deal because he showed a shower off, and she thinks he's rich because he has running water.
Inside water.
Yeah.
Booze was always pretty bad because, like, when I really drink, I sometimes steal, and that's not good.
You're a thief.
Yeah.
So like sometimes when I've been really fucking
Didn't
hammered.
you like steal a weird cake or something once?
I stole an ice cream cake from
Yeah,
Baskin
that was
Robbins.
like not even that long ago.
How'd you do that?
Like as an adult man.
It was like 5 in the morning.
He had to rush.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
It was summer.
You can't
so.
tattle around with that.
He made a run for it only because he didn't want the cake to melt.
It was 5 in the morning, and I was the only person in there. And they went into the back to do something. I was like, I want an ice cream cake. So I just opened up the freezer.
So
took
you
it,
went into a were you in a Carvel?
No, I was in
Baskin
a
Robbins.
Baskin Robbins
yeah.
slash
Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you went in for
Yeah. And then I saw no one was in
It just seemed like you could have grabbed some donuts for yourself.
I wanted the ice cream cake, I guess, because I didn't even remember I did it until I woke up the next day and saw a plate on my on a chair.
Drunk and ice cream cake don't go together.
No,
I know.
it's not a
I was
pleasant
kind of hoping what you were going to say is you just woke up with a melted ice cream cake on your chest.
God, I hope this is ice cream.
Once again, it's fucking manatee jizz because he got drunk and blew a manatee at fucking SeaWorld.
And then so I found an empty plate with like some cream on it or whatever, icing. And I was like, what the fuck does icing come from? And then I went in my fridge and there was the whole half an ice cream cake.
In the fridge, not even the freezer.
I put it in the fridge, yeah. So it was like a fucking loose, gooey ice cream cake.
Yeah.
It said "Happy Birthday, Jimmy."
Happy. I could tell these guys they would love the story about when you blacked out with somebody from the comedy community, but that would trace you down for the rest of your life.
Aziz Ansari.
Yes. Yes,
that's how he learned the claw. He practiced on Chris.
That's why he thought it was okay.
Yeah,
Because Chris was so willing.
Give me the ice cream out of your mouth.
You know, if I was on the jury and they came after him for that I'd say his fingers are so little it wouldn't even bother you.
Mm-hmm.
Just put Aziz put his tiny little fingers in your mouth. So what? It's like having a baby put their fingers in. How old's your baby now?
6 months.
So you ever put like her little hand in your mouth?
Yeah, I do it all the time. We play the game then I do Instagram videos where I go, Aziz, no.
Yeah.
And then I go, I'm trying to watch Seinfeld.
You want to bite so bad, though. You just want to bite as hard as you can.
That's
You know you could pop off a finger.
You're lucky your daughter still has all of her fingers.
So, we lowered the claw for a whole different reason.
I love it. I bite her finger like that. I go, and she loves it, and she laughs hysterically. But now she tries to bite everyone's finger. She has no teeth, but she tries to put hands in her thing. Yeah, I worry so much.
She had no teeth. I didn't know she had a meth problem.
No.
What happened?
Aaron's daughter's first sentence to me. So do you fuck black guys?
She was raised in Tallahassee, and she lost all of her teeth outside of a bingo hall. But,
That's her addiction.
Yeah,
we all have
I'm
one.
so worried.
Why?
You raised daughter. I don't.
School shootings?
All the stuff like when I play with her feet and stuff. Like when I'm changing her and I like suck her I'm like, what if she has this like as a fetish when she's older? Like
I guess you never know how you're gonna mess
That'll
him
be
up.
a cool thing.
I'm really having a problem separating. I understand that sex is an enjoyable thing and children should grow up to like it. Not children, but people should grow up.
It's really bad.
People should grow up to.
now.
I understand it, and we're very sexually free around my house.
What do you mean? You guys do it in front of the baby?
Yeah, we have a 1-bedroom apartment, Ron. I can't be like, throw the baby out back in the tub.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah,
they hang people for that around here. So what do you worry? You're worried that your little girl's going to be a sexual adult?
No, I want my child to grow up to enjoy and appreciate sex, but I also have this fear now that, like, where I have a daughter and I feel so protective, and I understand why. I understand those dads that are like, I'm going to get a handgun. But I know you can't shoot some guy for dating your daughter. I understand
you
that.
want your daughter to have a full life and not be afraid of sex.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nothing's going to be taken from her.
Right.
She'll be enjoying it herself like your wife does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my wife likes it.
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And when you want that for her, you don't want her to grow up to be a nun.
Right.
Yeah, but I also don't want her to find herself in difficult situations.
Like what? Gangbang?
Like rape. Rape is frowned upon.
Well, yeah,
Also,
but
you can always tell.
Why aren't you afraid of assault? Why aren't you
Just
afraid
plain
of being
assault?
Yeah, just being
My
beat
daughter's
up.
very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then she'll do okay in a rape.
It sounds like a gauntlet challenge. I've
She'll
raised
bite
her
her
to be
finger off.
strong.
Yeah. She'll bite that finger off or dick.
Daddy, I have a date with Trevor Noah.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
That'd be on a whole
It's
different
frightening.
level.
Did you only had how many kids?
2 children.
Both daughters?
No, boy and girl.
Boy and girl. So the boy, did you worry about as much as...
I didn't worry about either one of them.
You don't worry about them.
Why would I
You're
worry?
very laissez-faire in your life.
First of all, I don't like this attack on me. Aaron,
I mean it in the nicest possible
Yeah. Oh,
way.
okay.
You have a very
But, I
free
mean-
spirit, and you don't bring worry with you. You're not overly concerned,
Look,
or you don't show it.
People have concerns like you would of anyone you brought into the world, but I didn't think I'll puppet the rest of their lives for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't try to pick their friends.
Yeah.
And you were pretty good too. Like if I brought someone home, there wasn't too much like opinion or, like trying to control who I was spending time with or anything like that. Even if you had concerns, it wasn't made so aware to me.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of creepy when that this is my little Goyle.
Yeah.
You remember, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, it's a great way to
push away.
your daughter into the arms of a fucking maniac.
Right.
You know?
That is true.
Yeah.
Because that is a very quick, rebellious thing that I know girls who their parents were really controlling of who they dated and they went like above and
They'll
beyond.
marry him.
Yeah.
They'll fucking marry that idiot.
Instead of just like going through a phase where like I was with this guy who was crazy, but now we're done with this idea.
I see your daughter probably being married by 14 anyway.
Yeah, 14's a good age. Yeah.
It's something she'll
To
have.
Pauly Shore.
He'll marry her off to like a comedy club booker or something.
That would be a great idea.
So you're telling me 4 weekends a year I'm here. We got a guarantee and a door deal. All right.
I
here's
hope
the
dowry. Yeah.
I hope he has multiple rooms. I hope it's just a guy with one room.
You throw in a plate of popcorn shrimp.
Hey guys, the wedding's at LOL. Things have not ended well.
You know who dropped in LOL the other night was Trevor Noah.
No, impossible.
Yeah,
That's what I like about the guy working the stuff out.
Doesn't doesn't.
Here are some jokes I borrowed from Dan Soda, and I will put these on my next special.
What are you saying? He lifts from Dan Soder?
That's what I heard.
God.
Really? This is all news to
I
me.
heard there was a lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the last special, I heard there was a lift.
Is that right?
Yeah. The Russian bit. I heard there was a lift.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, Russians are the scariest white people ever.
Yeah.
And then you watch Soder's old clip from like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was...
I gotta tell you, I thought Trevor did it better. I'll be totally honest. I mean, I know.
He's got charm. He's not as slouchy. There's not that weird voice. He's
not going like this, right, Jay? Am I right, Jay? Chris, you don't plug anymore?
I apologize. Aaron Berg and Mike Racine are in studio. Aaron's album, Mr. Manners, live from Long Island City, is available now on iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play. Aaron hosts Frantic Mondays every week at the Stand Comedy Club in New York City. And In Hot Water airs every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on CompoundMedia.com. And Mike Racine's podcast, The Sit Down, is available now on Apple Podcasts, on Twitter at Mike Racine, at Aaron Berg Comedy.
I never realized how weird that sounds. CompoundMedia.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compound.
Because I just say Compound Media, but now that you're saying CompoundMedia.com, it sounds very odd.
Repetitive.
Yeah.
He should have went .org maybe.
Yeah,
.org
would have.
.eu.
.biz.
Yeah.
.gov.
Yeah.
.gov.
I don't know. I saw in the paper the other day they're being sued by Sandy Kane, the naked cowgirl.
Really?
And supposedly, according to the Post, she wrote out the lawsuit. She printed it out in her own handwriting.
Really?
That's not the type of thing that they normally take.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about lawyering, but I know
Lawyering and doctoring.
I don't think the judge likes to see something in your own handwriting.
Is this written with crayon?
What are they suing for? What's she suing for? I don't know the
According
whole story.
to the Page 6 article, did you get it, Chris?
Yeah, $2 million in damages.
Okay, that's good money. And what went wrong there?
She said that because she got injured on the show and that she was bruised and that her civil rights were violated and that she suffers back pain, anxiety.
How was she injured? That's what you could tell us.
She was sitting in a chair that was pulled away out from under her, and then she fell.
How long ago?
This was in 2015. Excuse me, 2015.
They weren't doing that show then.
So what show was it? This was on the O&A show, must have been.
The Anti-Cumia podcast.
Yeah, so this
Did you just say Anti-Cumia? You've known him for fucking 12.
Anthony.
I thought he
just
said
read Anti-Cumia podcast.
I actually thought he said antique at first.
That was the older show, the Anti.
Now I know that they did get rid of the wheels on the chairs over there because I loved it. Like when I would do the show, if fans started to say something racial, I would just push myself away.
Yeah,
you were rolling around a lot.
Yeah, I was rolling out of there like I had nothing to do with it. It was a very cheap joke, but it would work every single time.
It's funny how comedy has changed that much. Like I used to listen to Opie and Anthony all the time, and I'd be like, "Yeah, they did a segment where they, made this lady get naked and crawl around, and there were mouse traps on the floor, and that was like the biggest radio show."
Yeah,
and now everything's so nice. It's like No Country for Old Men. You know?
Yes,
I don't know how to relate to this world.
What was that?
Oh,
sorry.
Watch it.
It's just a lot of spit.
Yeah, sorry.
He's been through a lot, and
it's a rough month.
Yeah. No, but yes, you are correct. Like radio used to be brutal.
Yeah,
brutal. Where now all anyone worries about is getting sued, even if it's stupidly written out on a piece of fucking paper.
Yeah.
They did one segment where they like threw clothes out the window, and when people would pick them up, they would yell at them with a bullhorn and like call them poor.
Yeah.
And that's objectively funny.
Yeah.
Is the problem. But I don't know.
Well, that is, then like you said, is the problem. But times do change. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's been a change in the way people view things.
Yeah, I feel like the world's getting nicer.
Yes.
More inclusive, and it's
yeah. And you know why?
Maybe not for
Because
you, but
you know why? Guys like Aaron worry about their daughter. Do you think he wants to live in a world where someone pulls the chair out on his daughter?
No,
he doesn't want that world.
My daughter will be a naked cowgirl that demands respect.
Yeah. First of all, if anyone should be sued, it's her for ripping off that bit.
Yeah.
I know.
She could have been a naked astronaut.
Yeah.
She shows up in a movie this year.
She does, yeah.
Oh, you saw it as well?
I did, yeah.
She's in the Florida Project,
Yeah.
which was a big independent film this year.
Yeah.
And for no apparent reason. I mean,
No, she really doesn't. But I actually noticed her from behind first. The first
Yes.
time I saw her, I was like, is that Sandy Kane? And then she got a scene later in the movie, and I was like, that is so weird.
yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah, very, very strange.
I'm going to say this: lawsuits are a good source of income in the Berg household. We like our lawsuits.
You're slip and fall people. Right.
Yeah, we're a slip and fall. Dad's a slip
Everybody
and fall.
needs a side hustle.
Yeah, slip and fall. My wife got fired for being pregnant, so we're doing that right now.
Yeah,
she's talking to them right now.
Well, you can't be a titty dancer. And
No, yeah, lady, come on. This is scandals under the Queensboro Bridge.
Dude, I used to go to a place in Florida that was called the third trimester. And it was
No.
only women
Really?
in their third trimester. Yeah.
No.
It was very exciting. I was in there once to go to and her water break because I'm putting a buck in.
Yeah.
Tucking a buck.
I'm going to say this about pregnant women.
Yeah.
I get it. I never used to. And now after my wife had the baby, and this is totally just between us, I am horny. There's something about her making that baby.
Mm-hmm.
But this is before the baby.
Didn't like her much.
Did not.
Yeah.
Didn't. I mean, I loved her, but I didn't find her sexy where I wanted to just bang her all the time.
Right.
And after the baby, now all the time.
Is it just that you're just in awe of what her body is capable of? Like, or is it that as like a more
I don't
mental?
know. It's just like visceral now. I'm
Do you-
so attracted sexually to her.
It's like a fertility thing.
Yeah, but maybe you just always want to put your penis where a baby's head has been. Maybe that's your thing.
If that's true, then I would have been at the well on the New Jersey Turnpike. I don't know what it is, but I find her way sexier. My sex drive is back. I thought my sex drive was done.
Yeah, you thought it was over.
I thought it was. I was like,
That was the
okay.
steroids, though.
No, look, I haven't been on steroids in like 20 years. I'm on testosterone replacement, which is a very natural thing that all doctors prescribe and name testosterone replacement, so it's not called steroids.
But you know that you can't. Is that the stuff that you rub on your chest?
You rub it on your shoulders, but then you have to stop doing that around the baby
You
and the
can't have
daughter.
the baby, right?
That's right. So now you have to do injections. My wife does them for me.
Okay, where do you get them? In the ass?
In the ass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
You like that? That's like, that gets you going?
Yeah, I used to have to do them in my shoulder, but I didn't like doing that. And sometimes you hit a vein and the blood sprays out. It's not a pleasant thing to
Everybody hates a miss.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the fucking worst. It's the worst thing about being a junkie.
Yeah.
It really is.
Why
Out of
the
all
ass?
the bad
though?
things.
Why specifically the ass?
do. Lots of muscle back there. It's
Yeah.
fleshy. It doesn't hurt as much. The shoulders are good, and it's very low dose. Like I do lower than the prescribed dose because if I go too high,
But
I
you
get all
gotta
amped up.
you gotta go to the doctor for that.
Yeah.
And what do you get out of it besides you can lift more?
Sex drive is great.
Yeah.
You sleep better. There's implications that give you a healthier prostate because of it. Like with low testosterone, you're at risk for diabetes, prostate issues. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
So you don't take any shit from MTA workers?
No, I get so mad at MTA.
Motherfuckers. Yeah.
It's one of the side effects.
Sir, it's $2.75, sir.
Don't hit the train. It's not going to make it go faster.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But now my sex drive's back, like, and naturally too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how often do you have to go to the doctor for that to get?
They give you go in every few months and get your levels checked and make sure everything's good, and then they write you a prescription. That prescription lasts almost half a year. One
Wow.
bottle lasts almost half a year.
Interesting.
Unless you want to abuse it and just be like, I ran out. And
Yeah.
your eyes are all yellow and your forehead's growing and your
Yeah.
fingers are longer. Yeah.
Give it to me.
A lot of guys are doing growth hormone now.
Yeah. You know who is?
Oh, yeah.
Trevor Noah.
Yeah, I heard. You could tell because he looks younger. Chris Rock had Tiger Woods' young face implanted onto him. He looked like a young Tiger Woods on his special. Did you notice that?
I don't watch
He
the
looked
specials.
like a young Tiger Woods. It was insane to watch.
Well, we learned so much about you today,
Yeah,
Aaron
so
Berg.
much.
Yeah. You know why? I stopped going to therapy.
Why?
Good for you.
Because I had 5 appointments booked. They canceled 3 of them. I went to 2 of them. And the advice she gave me made me and my wife have the biggest argument that we had since
was
we
the
were
advice?
married. She goes, don't take her to Atlantic City.
Oh, that makes sense, though. That's the advice I would give.
Yeah. My wife's like, I want to go to Atlantic City with you and bring the baby. And I go, it's a 3-hour drive. I'm not staying overnight. It's going to be a nightmare. And I told the therapist, my wife wants to go to it. She goes, don't let her go. This is her. She's trying to step all over you. Don't let her go. I mean, she was winking at me while she was saying it and rubbing her leg. And so I didn't let her go.
But if you're worried about the baby, never take the baby to Atlantic City.
Why?
It's not a good place.
They have infant amnesia the first 3 years. They're not gonna
Still,
remember.
I mean, I'm saying somebody could snatch her.
Yeah, therapy.
People snatch babies in AC?
You get $100,000 for a white baby.
Come on.
Wait. A girl, 74. But a boy, you get 100 plus. Chris, are you and the Costa Rican girl thinking about having a baby?
No talk of children.
Really?
No.
It's hard to believe.
I know. Things
Weird,
seem
but-
like it's progressing so fast for you guys.
No children.
A catch like you.
Right?
I thought you'd want to stay in this country.
¿Dónde está el anchor baby? Does she speak English?
Yes, she speaks English.
And
Broken.
Spanish.
And Spanish.
And
yes.
you speak Spanish?
No, I just speak English.
She speaks Spanglish, Chris. Admit it.
What'd you just say?
Most of their love is just pointing at different things that they enjoy.
Los Flowers. El Central Park.
Could she get any of those bananas, though? Does she have a fucking connection?
Plantains.
No, I don't like a fucking plantain. I'll be totally honest
Really?
with you.
I
Yeah.
love a plantain.
I'm kind of with you
It's
there.
like
yeah.
it's like you wish you had some sort of in between a banana and a potato.
Yeah. You know what I
Well,
wish?
it's not sweet enough and it's not savory enough.
You're exactly right. And I always wish I either had a potato or a banana. It's fucking bland. You're not even
I've
familiar
never
with this.
put a plantain in my... I've eaten a banana once on a bet. Other than
Wait,
that...
you've had one banana in your
Ari
life? Just-
Shafir gave me a banana and he's like, eat it on stage. And I tried it and I was like, it's okay. But I...
How was that a bet? That was just him fucking dominating you.
I dare you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was he to do this?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bet. I lost it. But yeah, I've only eaten a banana once.
Wow.
Lots of stuff I've never tried.
Like what?
I've never eaten a plantain. I've never had mango.
Really?
You're not a fruit fan,
No.
it sounds like.
No, it all seems extraneous to me. Yeah, just like meat.
You just meat, no vegetable?
Meat and fish.
Yeah.
Vegetable. Yeah, I like broccoli with cheese sauce.
No, that's not a vegetable.
Why?
Nothing that you put cheese sauce on is a vegetable.
Yeah, did you have like a working mother or something?
Did you have a
Is that
working
another
mother?
name for a hooker? I don't know what that means.
Cream spinach. What about that?
Never had it?
Good.
Yeah, I love
It
cream
seems like
spinach.
Okay.
all of your vegetables need dairy added to them
Yeah, they
in
do.
order for you to be happy about
Yeah.
it.
Sometimes I eat plain broccoli, but I don't like it. But I do it. Apples I don't eat, and if I do, it's got to be a Granny Smith. I won't put another apple in my mouth.
Look who's a little princess now. Is that Granny Smith? Then I won't eat it.
I tried to grow kale in my apartment. It takes like 30 weeks to grow kale.
Yeah.
You can make
Yeah.
a baby in less time.
Right, but it's an actual thing. I mean,
Yeah, but that's going to be a really little baby.
you would have the same problem with corn on the cob.
What?
It takes a long time to grow vegetables.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not growing fucking weed.
What was your rush?
I'm just eating it now. I don't care.
I'm starving over here. What was your rush?
What are you pointing at, Chris?
Oh, it's almost the end of the show.
Well, why would you point then?
I was just throwing up like a time.
What was the time on that?
2 minutes.
Oh, we got plenty of time. Let's go into a long story. So, school shootings. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Pro, anti?
Yeah. You got to be worried about having the baby now, right?
These people that are shooting schools are horrible people. Yeah,
Shootings
I'm
are
worried
like
about it.
diarrhea. No good.
I went to look at houses in Jersey this weekend, so we may put an offer on a house.
Oh,
that
we're in
we
Jersey.
found. Springfield.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's where the Simpsons live.
Yeah. That's exactly.
You know what? You could make a good case that the Simpsons live in Springfield, New Jersey.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little town.
Yeah.
We're going to put an offer in. It's a foreclosed house, totally renovated. The neighbors next door, utter hoarder hillbillies.
Oh, boy.
Like 6 cars, a boat with a camo tarp
Sounds
over it.
great.
A jet ski propped up
Perfect
sideways.
place to raise a child.
Yeah.
Now, what was the murder that took place in this house that you're buying?
I know a friend that's one of the sheriffs in Union County, so I put a text in yesterday, so we're waiting to hear before we put the offer in.
Because there's got to be some reason this place was left empty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's gorgeous on the inside.
Could you live in a murder house, though? Is something, let's say the dad came home and cut the mom's throat and stacked the kids up like fucking firewood. Could you live in that house?
What's the backyard like?
Oh, well, it's beautiful. It's a half acre.
Yeah.
And doesn't overlook a lake, but there's a drainage ditch that fills up every few months.
Well, what are the odds of 2 murders happening in
That
the
is
same house?
true.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think people worry more just like the bad juju,
Yeah,
the
the
bad
bad
karma.
vibes.
Yeah.
That, But if you live in an apartment in Manhattan, you probably, somebody's been killed there.
Of course.
Oh yeah, I think of that all the time.
Yeah.
Like the amount of deaths. I mean, like my apartment building's pretty big. The
Yeah.
amount of deaths, murders, rapes.
Yeah.
The amount of deaths why I've lived in this apartment. is
Oh, I know, that's true.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every old person has died.
Yeah.
And no one ever found them for a while. I was like, has anyone seen Agnes lately? Not in 2 weeks. But she must have taken a shit in her apartment. Sounds awful.
Her cats sound well fed.
I used to clean out dead people's houses, and sometimes it would be like a hoarder, like a hoarding situation where everything's like strewn about. But then sometimes it's just like the apartment's really clean, and you're just going in there to like remove all their stuff and throw it, and that's like creepier than the
Really?
than the hoarders.
It felt like they were just coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you're like, well, that's all of Agnes's possessions. Gonna take them to the dump.
you see, Kevin Smith had that heart attack last night when he was shooting his TV special in between shows. Massive heart attack.
I always think that's going to happen to me when I'm on stage. Do you sometimes like I've gotten like a numb arm and I've been like, oh, I'm going to die right now, but I pushed through it.
There was a fucking comic in the 70s or 80s. I can't think of his name, but he had a heart attack doing his show, and the people were laughing because he was
I
like,
remember you told me about this.
Is it like, look it up, Chris? It was a guy that used to do, and he was like a wacky comic.
They thought he was doing like
He
a
would do
silly
big
pratfall or
improvs and
something.
shit.
Well,
And
that
then-
happened with
Did he
Red
die?
Fox too, right?
No, he was just black.
No. Red Fox had a heart attack. This is a separate thing.
Tommy Cooper?
No, Tommy Cooper.
There was a guy who had a seizure while he was humping the stool, and everyone thought
it was an Asian kid.
Yeah.
Tommy Cooper's the only thing that's coming up.
No, stop it, Chris. Come on. You could have fucking
real.
Albert Brooks's father had a fucking heart attack at a Friars Club.
Really?
Yeah, during like a fucking roast or something, and he died.
I'm worried about the
Spaghetti and
Friars Club.
vegetables.
They have
Yeah.
issues over there. There's issues over at that Friars Club.
Oh, I don't think it was the New York one. I think it was the LA one.
Ah, gross.
Do those issues rhyme with edophilia?
No, I think they're going bankrupt.
Oh.
But how did they ever make money? That's what I've never fucking understood. It's a giant fucking building over there with nothing happening for 50 years.
Building must be worth millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Did you find it, Chris?
Only Tommy Cooper's the only thing coming up.
Stop with the
I
Tommy
will be at the
Cooper.
Friars Club tomorrow night to roast Dean Martin.
Seems like Chris is obsessed with Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper isn't even a comedian. No one's ever even heard of him before.
Let me tell you this, Ron.
Yeah.
The other night, I told this guy, Brendan Burns, I did 25 sets in a night. That's a record. He goes, now there's a guy in Edinburgh that did 80 sets in one day. And I go, 18? And he goes, no, 80.
No.
And then I Googled it and I couldn't find anything. I think he
You
made
know
it
what?
up.
He's starting fucking trouble because he knows you can't track it down from
Yeah,
here.
he's all hepped up on monsters.
Did you find it, Chris?
Dick Shawn?
That's it, Dick Shawn.
Yay! Dick Shawn.
But why were you telling me Tommy Cooper's the only one?
I had to go a few pages deep in the Google.
People were fucking laughing while he died. they
it's
were
horrible.
laughing. And other
Lord
people
Chris.
said, oh, that's how he probably would have liked to have died. And I'm like, no.
No,
He wouldn't.
no one's helping you.
At least I gave them one more laugh.
Please, Leo, please, if you could just please help me.
That shit. Did he just shit himself?
All right, I'll be selling merch outside if you want to stop by and buy my T-shirt.
And you felt before like you were going to fucking die on stage.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When I used to smoke cigarettes, And I'd feel my hand getting numb, and I'd feel chest pains.
Do you feel healthier since you started cigars?
Yeah, way healthier.
Good. I'm glad that you're saying that. Chris, what is it? You're fucking waving that goddamn paper around like it matters.
I just want to let everyone know Aaron Berg and Mike Racine have been in the studio. Aaron's out. Mr. Manners Live from Long Island State is available now on iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play. Aaron hosts Frantic Mondays every week at the Stand Comedy Club in New York City, and In Hot Water airs every Tuesday, 2 p.m. on compoundmedia.com. And Mike Racine's podcast, The Sit Down, is available now on Apple Podcasts, on Twitter, at Mike Racine, and at Aaron Berg Comedy.
It's a crime podcast if you're into that kind of stuff. Yeah.
True crime?
Yeah, so we profile like a different figure in organized crime every week. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Jen, what time is Jen, what are you doing? See what I did there? I saw Vito take the mic off, so I acted like I needed to talk to Jen. There was no reason for it. Thanks to Alice Cooper for being on the show today, and also the Zombies.
That was amazing.
It's the time of the season. All right, that's it for us. Thanks, guys. You guys are fucking hilarious.
So fun.
We'll see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!